Chapter 117, Heart of Martial Arts. The vast dark mist forest was divided into 5 huge sections by the explorers. Starting from the outside, it was partitioned into the outer circle, middle circle, and inner circle. There were also the Forbidden Death Zone and the Forbidden Mysterious Zone. The outer circle typically consisted of 1-star to 3-star star beasts. Star beasts had a hierarchy too. The higher-level star beasts wouldn't want to lower their status, so they rarely came to the outer circle. The middle circle consisted of 4-star to 6-star star beasts. As for the inner circle, that was where 7-star to 9-star star beasts lived. Similarly, the star beasts from the inner circle wouldn't run out to the middle circle. The environment in the Forbidden Death Zone was extraordinarily harsh and perilous. There were many Lord-level frightening star beasts hidden in that area. Lord-level star beasts were equivalent to general-stage martial warriors. They could be considered the overlords among the star beasts. Not talking about martial warriors below the general stage, even if general-stage martial warriors entered the Forbidden Death Zone alone, they would have a slim chance of surviving. As for the Forbidden Mysterious Zone, even general-stage martial warriors wouldn't be able to escape after they entered. Well, at least until today, no one had heard of a general-stage martial warrior who was able to return safely after venturing into that zone. Wang Teng and his teammates were at the outer circle. With the Tiger Warrior team's ability, they were considered one of the most powerful teams in the outer circle. Normal 1-star or 2-star star beasts wouldn't pose any threat to them. That was why they were able to kill the 9 Gale Wolves so easily last night. After all, the difference in level was evident. Had it been a normal martial warrior team, there was a high possibility that they might have died in that encounter. Lin Zhon and his teammates said that they would need some time and effort to deal with the Gale Wolves. However, after Wang Ting saw their combat prowess yesterday, he felt like sniggering. Pretentious tilde. The group finally decided to head to Wind Valley. The team had discovered a 3-star single-horn Denglong in the Wind Valley during their previous trip to the Dark Mist Forest. However, they had used up all their resources back then and had made no adequate preparations. They weren't confident of killing it. That was why they had dragged it until now. If it wasn't for the Star Beast, they would have rested for half a month before they returned to the Xingwu continent. They rarely rushed back after only 3 days. Based on Lin Zhon's introduction, the single-horn Denglong was extremely intelligent. There was a high chance that it had given birth to a starbone. If they could kill it, they would make a huge profit. Since they had acknowledged Wang Ting's ability, they didn't have to worry about taking care of him. That meant that they could focus on dealing with the single-horn Denglong. Things might change if they dragged too long, though. They had already lost 4 days. If they continued wasting any more time, the single-horn Denglong might be found by other teams. Wang Ting, can you take care of the 1-star Earth Armor Pig? Lin Zhon stopped in his tracks and pointed with his chin at a huge star beast eating in front of them. Then, he leaned casually against the trunk of a tree and took out his water bottle from his bag. He started taking sips of water without a care in the world. The other team members stopped when they saw his actions. Some sat on the ground while others leaped up a tree. They took out their dried goods and water and started eating. Their gazes at Wang Ting seemed as though they were waiting for a good show. The large Earth Armor Pig had noticed them too. It raised its head and glared at them with its big and round red eyes. Its body was covered with thick and sturdy scales, just like an armored vehicle. It gave people an oppressive feeling. Star Beast had a common trait: they were big. You could even say that they were gigantic. The Gale Wolves they met yesterday were not small either. They were almost 1.5 meters up to their shoulders. One bite and they could snap a person into 2. But, as compared to this Earth Armor Pig, the wolves were like nothing. Wang Ting instantly felt speechless when he saw his teammates sitting around without any worry. He lifted his battle sword and walked forward. Huff, puff. The Earth Armor Pig was panting heavily and looked extremely irritated. It stepped on the ground with its hind legs, digging up the soil with its movement. It seemed ready to attack at any moment. At first, the Earth Armor Pig was 200 meters away from them. As Wang Ting got nearer, the Earth Armor Pig suddenly kicked up a cloud of dust when their distance was less than 100 meters. Squeal, squeal. The pig grunted as it dashed towards Wang Ting. Wang Ting's pupils were fixed on the pig. This earth armor pig was not only huge and fierce, but it was also agile and fast. When it stepped on the ground, it gave off loud stomping sounds. Do you think Wang Ting can kill the earth armor pig? Yang Jinyu asked. He displayed his skills yesterday night, so it shouldn't be a problem. Rather than worrying whether he could kill the earth armor pig or not, why don't we guess how long he will take to take care of this star beast? Are you interested in having a bet? Lin Zhon smiled and asked. What are we betting? Liu Yang licked her sexy red lips and asked. Her interest was piqued without a doubt. How about 10 energy stones? Lin Zhon suggested. All right. Liu Yang agreed right away. She thought for a moment and said, my guess is 5 minutes. Wang Ting is very fast, but I'm not sure about his strength and guard ability. My guess is 10 minutes. Yang Jinming said. In that case, I'll guess 20 minutes, Yang Fei said. I think it will be 9 minutes. Even the little transparent Lady Yang Jinyu joined the bet excitedly. I guess within 1 minute, Lin Zhon said with a smile. Seriously? Leader, even if you have high hopes for him, 1 minute is a little exaggerated. Yang Jinming was shocked. Hehe, let's wait and see. All of you will be giving me your energy stones later. Lin Zhon smiled slyly. Fortunately, Wang Ting didn't know what his unscrupulous teammates were doing. If he knew, he might vomit blood in anger. At this moment, he had already started fighting with the earth armor pig. Boom! The earth armor pig charged over at high speed and wanted to smash into Wang Ting. The frightening impact formed a powerful shockwave and surged towards Wang Ting's body with a loud crash. Wang Ting executed his footwork and evaded the attacks like an agile monkey. At the same time, he aimed his battle sword at the earth armor pig's neck and slashed it down. In the 5 years of martial arts exam, 3 years of mock papers, it was mentioned that whether you were fighting with a mutated beast or a star beast, you needed to find and target their weakness. Usually, the weaknesses of star beasts were the abdomen, the eyes, and the neck. While dodging, Wang Ting swung his battle sword at the animal's neck when he went past it. The earth armor pig's body was huge, so it couldn't turn quickly. It wasn't able to prevent the sword from hitting its body. However, the result wasn't satisfying. Clang! Wang Ting heard the sound, and his expression changed slightly. He looked at the spot he chopped just now. There was only a white line. The scales of the earth armor pig covered its entire body. It was exceptionally tough, making it very hard to break this layer of defense. Since Wang Ting had failed his attack, it gave the earth armor pig time to react. It swung its head and charged at Wang Ting with its 2 thick and dagger-like tusks. If the tusks struck him, they would definitely pierce his body. Wang Ting raised the shield in his left hand to block the attack. He used the force of the backlash to move away from the star beast and then made use of his speed to circle it. He then started searching for the earth armor pig's weakness. After the earth armor pig got played by Wang Ting, it got more and more irritated. It kept panting and growled in a hoarse voice. Actually, the attacks of an earth armor pig were very simple. Its only distinguishing trait was its defensive ability. If the other star beasts weren't able to break their defense, the earth armor pig was invincible. However, Wang Ting was able to suppress the earth armor pig with his speed. The earth armor pig went right and left, but it couldn't hurt Wang Ting. After some time, Wang Ting finally found its weakness. Heart of martial arts. This was the legendary 1,000 Years of Pain, Tu Howl. The long sword shot out and pierced the butt. Chapter 118, Single Horn Deng Long. The heart of martial arts, even a god wouldn't be able to handle it, much less an earth armor pig. When the long sword stabbed into its body, force gushed out and directly froze its internal organs. The pig was killed in a single move. Lin Zhon looked at the time and burst out laughing. Less than a minute. Come, take out your energy stones. Yang Fei and Yang Jinming's expressions turned strange. They sighed secretly and accepted their defeat. While shaking their heads, they took out 10 energy stones and gave them to Lin Zhon. Liu Yang and Yang Jinyu clicked their tongues unhappily. They were beaten by Wang Ting's shamelessness. How was he able to use this move? Where did his dignity go? This move might be a little shameless, but it's actually the most effective and energy-saving. Lin Zhon smiled and stretched his hand out. Give me the energy stones. Leader, you're jackals of the same lair. The two ladies rolled their eyes. They took out their energy stones helplessly and gave them to him. What a huge loss. Wang Teng walked over and saw this scene. He was speechless. Here I am fighting with my life, but all of you are just using me as your gambling material. Cough, cough, the forest is so boring. This is to liven up the mood, Lin Zhon replied shamelessly. Wang Ting, why didn't you use force to attack just now? Why did you use that move? Yang Jinyu couldn't help but ask. Most importantly, she wanted to listen to Wang Ting's thoughts. How sadistic was he to be able to think of that move? Save when you can. I'm just a one-star soldier-level martial warrior. I have a limited amount of force. If I can finish this battle using the simplest method, why should I waste my force? Wang Ting replied matter-of-factly. Look, Wang Ting understands it more than you. How can you call yourself seniors, said Lin Zhon. There are many ways to save force. He doesn't have to use this method. Liu Yang was unwilling to accept defeat. I feel that this method is excellent, and I find it easy to execute. I can try it again in the future. I've decided to call this move the Heart of Martial Arts, 1,000 Years of Pain. Wang Ting shamelessly used the name of a legendary move of a certain manga in his past life. Go away. Don't use this method in front of us. It hurts our eyes. The two ladies, Liu Yang and Yang Jinyu, immediately got annoyed. The three men laughed uncontrollably. This Wang Ting was a weirdo. He even gave his move a name after using it. Was he afraid that other people wouldn't know about his move if the name wasn't loud enough? All right, take the tusks and scales of the earth armor pig, and we will leave, Lin Zhon said. Yang Fei immediately walked over to take care of the earth armor pig's corpse. Wang Ting aided him at the side. The pig's scales were extremely tough and strong. If you wanted to skin it without proficient skills, it would be challenging. When Yang Fei was taking off the scales, Lin Zhon and the others kept watch of their surroundings. Yang Fei's actions were skilled. Very soon, he took off the armor of the earth armor pig and put it in his bag. His backpack immediately became full. He didn't take the whole scale armor of the earth armor pig, though. If he did, he wouldn't be able to stuff it in his bag. Huh! Yang Fei suddenly made a sound. He had an elated expression as he said, I think there's a star core. He used his knife to cut the abdomen of the earth armor pig. Then, he took out a yellowish-brown uneven round object. Ha ha ha, leader, come and take a look. There's a star core. Yang Fei laughed loudly. Lin Zhon and the other team members were shocked when they heard this. They immediately gathered around. F***K, Wang Ting, I have nothing to say about your luck. Liu Yang exclaimed in surprise. Wang Ting was stunned too. He had only killed 3 star beasts, and 2 of them gifted him with star cores. Was he really the son of Lady Luck? He felt a little proud of himself. Keep it. Don't reveal your wealth, Lin Zhon reminded him. Then, he said, see if there's a star bone. Yang Fei threw the star core to Wang Ting and shook his head. Nope. I've already inspected it. The star core and star bone were both hidden in the star beast's body. They were like light lamps at night. You would be able to detect them immediately once you used your force to scan the insides. This was how they searched for star bones and star cores yesterday night with the corpses of the Gale Wolves. Unfortunately, the Gale Wolves didn't have any star cores, much less star bones. When humans killed more and more star beasts, they started to gain more experience. Normally, only star beasts with star cores would have star bones. If the beast didn't have a star core, it shouldn't be able to give birth to a star bone. That was why Lin Zhon asked Yang Fei if there was a star bone. Wang Ting kept the star core. The gains by the team would be sold after they returned to Earth. The money would be split according to a certain percentage. That was how all teams worked. Of course, the main things that Wang Ting received after killing the star beast were attribute bubbles. Earth Force *4 blank attribute *6. The gains were not bad. The team continued their journey to Wind Valley. Around noon, Wang Teng and his teammates arrived outside a valley. This valley was shaped like a gourd. The mouth of the gourd was the only entrance, as its sides were lined by unscalable cliffs. A burst of strong wind gushed out of the valley. It sounded like the wails of ghosts and howls of wolves. Lin Zhon stood outside the entrance and observed for some time. His expression changed slightly. Someone has been here. Indeed, traces of people can be seen. Yang Jinming squatted down to take a look. He said with a worried expression, "Did we waste our trip? Are we still going in?" Liu Yang asked. "If the other party is inside and we meet them coincidentally, we might need to engage in a fierce fight. I wonder how strong they are," Yang Fei said. "Since we are here, we have to take a look. When has the Tiger Warrior team been scared of anyone?" Lin Zhon scoffed with a cold expression. "Wang Ting, be careful," he reminded Wang Teng before stepping into the valley first. Wang Teng and the other teammates followed closely behind him. The paths in the valley were difficult to walk. The biting cold wind blew hard against them, making it even more challenging to balance their bodies. Their faces hurt from the piercing cold. Fortunately, they were all martial warriors, so they could barely handle it. They walked cautiously for some distance, but they didn't see any humans. Could they have left already? Yang Jinming frowned and asked. "Let's go further. Be prepared to fight anytime. Last time, we saw the single-horn Denglong not far ahead. I wonder if it's still there?" Lin Zhon replied. The team members held their weapons in one hand and the shield in the other. They remained vigilant of their surroundings. Swoosh! Suddenly, a white figure stooped down from the cliff at the side. Its speed was astonishing. The air around it was torn apart, letting out a shrill and sharp screech. "Be careful!" Lin Zhon shouted. Liu Yang's expression changed. She felt that the white figure was targeting her. However, Liu Yang was caught off guard, so she wasn't able to react in time. Wang Ting was standing beside her. His expression abruptly changed, and he pushed her away. At the same time, he swung his battle sword out. Boom! A huge force crashed onto him. The green-colored force collided with him and knocked him off his feet. Wang Ting didn't have time to think. The force in his body exploded as he neutralized the powerful and violent force of impact. The wind energy formed by the green force shot out in all directions like sharp blades. Wang Ting was right in the center. He felt as if there were hundreds of wind daggers slashing his body. The plants around him were reduced to shreds. The wood splinters floated and danced in the air. Bang! Under the bombardment of the enormous force, Wang Ting was slammed heavily into the stone wall. His chest felt stuffy. If he hadn't defended himself in time just now using his force, or if he hadn't worn this battle uniform, he might have been seriously injured. Chapter 119, Explosion. Evil Beast. Lin Zhon and the other team members instantly released their force. Then, they simultaneously attacked the white figure. However, the white shadow's speed was astonishing. It ran across the cliff as if it were on flat ground. Finally, it stopped on a huge rock high on the cliff and revealed its identity. "Single-horn Denglong," said Lin Zhon through gritted teeth. "Are you all right?" Liu Yang came beside Wang Teng and asked in concern. "I'm fine." Wang Ting shook his head. He stood up and looked at the snow-white star beast standing tall on the rock high up on the cliff. "Thank you for helping me just now," said Liu Yang. "This is not the time for this. Is that the single-horn Denglong you were talking about?" Wang Teng asked with a strange expression. The white star beast on the rock looked a little like a huge-sized rabbit. It was furry with long ears. Its eyes were red, and its body was white. Only the tip of its ears was black. That was right, it looked like a giant rabbit. However, there was a horn on its head, and its claws were sharp like knives. When it opened its mouth, you could see the row of razor-sharp teeth. Its teeth looked healthy and strong. "Yes, that's the single-horn Denglong. I didn't expect the beast to sneak an attack on us." Liu Yang's expression was a little ugly. "It's injured. Look at the left side of its back. There seem to be traces of blood," Yang Jinyu said. Everyone followed her finger and looked in the direction she was pointing. Indeed, they saw a trace of red spreading out from the single-horn Denglong's back. It was hard to notice it from the front. It might have been left by the first batch of people. It's malicious and cruel even when it's hurt. Let's take this opportunity to kill it and wrap up things, Lin Zhon said viciously. The moment he finished speaking, he stamped on the ground, and his body shot out like a bullet. He climbed up the cliff and slashed out gold-colored force out of his huge axes. Roar! The single-horn Denglong roared at Lin Zhon. It sent out a big and powerful gale from its mouth. The gold glow on the axes split the strong gale apart, forming a long and narrow crack in the middle. Lin Zhon appeared in front of the single-horn Denglong in the blink of an eye. He swept his battle axes horizontally in front of him. Swoosh! The single-horn Denglong's figure disappeared from the rock. Only its lingering shadow was chopped into half by Lin Zhon's axes. Moments later, the lingering shadow also dissipated. The next second, the body of the single-horn Denglong appeared beside Lin Zhon. A whirlwind formed on its sharp claw as it attacked Lin Zhon. Bang, bang, bang. A few gunshots also joined the battle. Below, Liu Yang carried her heavy machine gun and fired continuously while aiming at the single-horn Denglong. The alloy bullet dragged a fiery red flame along with it as it shot towards the single-horn Denglong, aiming for its vital point. The single-horn Denglong had no choice but to dodge. Lin Zhon took the chance to pursue and keep the pressure on. The two gigantic battle axes danced around in his hands. The gold glow pierced through the air and engulfed the single-horn Denglong. At that moment, Yang Fei and the other team members arrived. Yang Jinming, Yang Jinyu, and Yang Fei executed their respective force battle techniques and blocked the single-horn Denglong's path of retreat. There was nowhere it could hide. Boom! The single-horn Denglong was forced to take on Lin Zhon's gold axe glow. The sharp claws slammed into the axes along with the whirlwind on them. The collision resulted in a frightening explosion. Lin Zhon couldn't control himself and took many steps back. The single-horn Denglong saw an opportunity and wanted to escape the encirclement. On the other side, Wang Ting stood at the high ground and took out the heavy bow from his weapon carrier casket. He narked a rune arrow on the bow. At this moment, Wang Ting could only turn from a warrior into a marksman hiding in the wild. He took cover behind the bushes and started shooting arrows at his target. This was commonly known as the bitch in the bushes. The force in Wang Ting's body erupted as he stretched the bow to its maximum. He let loose an arrow. Slash! The arrow cut through the air. The ice force at the tip formed an ice-blue shadow of the arrow as it charged towards the single-horn Denglong. Boom! The single-horn Denglong let out a loud roar. It turned its body forcefully and actually managed to evade this arrow. However, Yang Jinming and the other two people's attacks had arrived. 3 attacks landed on the single-horn Denglong's back at the same time. The single-horn Denglong roared in grief and pain. The sword and blade pierced through the wound that was already present on its body. They tore its back, and fresh blood spurted everywhere. Bang, bang, bang. Gunshots were heard once again. The bullets penetrated the single-horn Denglong's body one by one, causing it to look up at the sky and roar. It suddenly went crazy. It opened its huge mouth, and green lights started gathering around it from the sky and the earth. The green rays quickly congregated into a ball. The ball of green light was expanding continuously. Hurry up and stop it. Lin Zhon's expression changed as he dashed towards the single-horn Denglong. The other team members' expressions were solemn too. They executed force battle techniques to their fullest potential. Fire force, water force, earth force, these 3 colors of light covered half the sky. The rays of swords poured down like the rain. The glints of sharp blades flew everywhere. It looked like they could slash a mountain if it stood in their way. Boom, boom, boom. The single-horn Denglong didn't dodge, allowing the attacks to land on its body. The green ball of light in its mouth grew bigger and stronger. The pressure was terrifying. Bang, bang, bang. The heavy machine gun in Liu Yang's hand kept vibrating. Alloy bullets shot out as though they were free. This beast wants to perish together with us. Lin Zhon shouted, "Move!" Let me handle it. He held the huge axes in his hand and swung them out powerfully. An enormous gold axe shadow flew down from the sky. Metal force battle technique, heavy mountain. Boom. The gold axe shadow in the air seemed to have turned into a tall and lofty mountain. It bore down from the sky. The single horn Denglong finally stopped building its green ball of light. The viciousness and determination in its pair of red eyes seemed similar to the emotions of a human. It spurted the ball of green light out. Move. Lin Zhon's expression warped. He started flying back at high speed without any hesitation. At the same time, he shouted at his team members. The other team members felt a powerful sense of danger and death. They raised their speed to the fastest, wishing they had an extra pair of legs. Run. Wang Ting and Liu Yang were further away. The moment they noticed something wrong, they fled and found a place to hide. Boom. The green ball of light exploded without any warning, kicking off a violent tornado at the center. It started sweeping everything away. Soil flew in the air and covered the entire sky. The protruding rocks and the vines and plants on the ground were all reduced to pieces by the overwhelming force. Blades of wind mingled in the tornado as it engulfed the entire area they were in. The wind blades attacked anything in its path. It struck against the cliff and left lines and lines of deep cuts. Lin Zhon and some of the team members couldn't evade in time. They were all thrown off their feet by the tornado. The shockwave caused by the explosion swept the surroundings. The residual impact took a long time to subside. The dust in the air gradually landed on the ground. The valley resumed its silence. Leader. Yang Jinming. Little Yu. Yang Fei. Liu Yang and Wang Ting were a distance away, so they didn't get hurt. After coming out from their hiding spots, they immediately started looking for their teammates. Liu Yang's face was pale, and there was fear in her expression. She had been working with her teammates for many years. Although they weren't blood-related, they were like her family. If anything happened to them, she couldn't imagine what she would do. Cough, cough. Suddenly, they heard someone coughing not far away. It's our leader, Liu Yang exclaimed in surprise. She ran over hurriedly. Lin Zhon climbed out from below a pile of rocks. He wiped the trace of blood off the corner of his lips and cursed, "Damn it, this beast is really ruthless. It actually wanted to perish together. Leader, are you all right?" Liu Yang and Wang Ting hurriedly held him up. "I'm fine. I'm just a little hurt." Lin Zhon waved his hand nonchalantly. "How are the others?" "We haven't found them," said Liu Yang. "Then, hurry up and look for them. We're here." At this moment, Yang Jinming's voice came out from below another pile of rocks. "How are you?" Wang Ting asked. "All right. I'm not dying anytime soon." Chapter 120. Do you want to experience my hammer fist of love? F***K. I almost died. Yang Jinming and the other team members cursed furiously. They weren't in a good mood. I didn't expect the single horn Denglong to fight back in the face of death and attempt to drag us down to hell with it. We almost fell into its trap, Yang Fei said with a bitter smile. When we meet another 3-star or above star beast, we need to be more careful. A star beast at this level has its own intellect. Yet, they still maintain their brutish nature, so they are unruly and ruthless. We can't predict their actions using logic, Lin Zhon said. Sigh, this is the first time we met such a vicious fellow after so many years of forming the team, Liu Yang commented. Little Yu, are you all right? Yang Jinming held on to his younger sister in concern. The few of them had received the brunt of the explosion. Their organs were heavily impacted by the force and were injured. As a lady, Yang Jinyu's defensive ability was weaker, so her injury was more severe than the men. Her face was pale, and blood was seeping out of the corners of her lips. She seemed listless. Her body was about to collapse at any moment. Give her the medicine quickly, Liu Yang said in a hurry. Yang Jinming regained his composure and took out the healing medication from his backpack. He let Yang Jinyu swallow it. Execute your force to hasten the absorption of the medicine. Yang Jinyu was already weak. She followed her brother's instructions and sat down cross-legged on the ground. She started absorbing the medicine to heal her injuries. Yang Fei and Lin Zhon also took out their medicine and swallowed them. Their injuries weren't as serious as Yang Jinyu's, but it still hurt. Their combat prowess had taken a hit. Is that single-horn Denglong dead? Wang Teng asked. The degree of the explosion is huge and it was at the center of the explosion. It must be dead, Lin Zhon smiled and replied. Wang Teng nodded. He scanned his surroundings. There were many attribute bubbles dropped around him. He picked them up. Metal Force *15 Fire Force *13 Earth Force *9 Water Force *8 Wind Force *25 Blank Attribute *33 A huge gain. Not to mention the other attributes, he had gained a high number of Fire, Water, and Earth Force attributes. It was enough to raise his ability by another level. And the bonus of 25 Wind Force, as well as the Metal Force that appeared for the first time. There were as many as 15 points. Wang Teng received another force element. This time, there were many blank attributes too. He got 33 points of blank attributes, bringing his total to 90. Wang Teng was secretly elated. He continued sucking over the other attribute bubbles from afar and collecting them. Intermediate stage wind talent *1 Wang Teng was stunned. An intermediate stage wind talent. Ecstasy surged up his heart. As expected of a 3-star beast with a high intellect. Even the talent it dropped was at the intermediate stage. Mind you, all the talents he had for his earth element, fire element, and ice element were only at the beginner stage. It was obvious that intermediate stage talents were more powerful than beginner stage talents. Now, he would be able to make use of his wind force. He could also unleash the full potential of his Steps of Gale and not just shelve it in his attribute row and let it rot there. The gains of killing a 3-star beast were so huge. It was worth it. In comparison, the minor injuries were nothing. Very soon, Lin Zhon and the other teammates digested their healing medication and regained some of their health. Lin Zhon stood up and said, "Let's go over and take a look at the single-horn Denglong. We've wasted some time. We should clean up the scene and leave. The explosion just now will definitely attract the attention of the other star beasts in this region. It might even lure other martial warriors. We need to act quickly." That's right. Quickly take a look at the star beast. We spent so much effort trying to kill it. If there aren't any gains, it will be a huge loss for us, Yang Fei said. They started searching their surroundings. They didn't know where the body of the single-horn Denglong was sent flying after the explosion. Yang Jinyu was still undergoing the healing process, and Liu Yang took care of her at the side. The young men searched for the body. Wang Teng remembered the location of the talent attribute bubble and walked over to the spot. When he dug up the soil, his expression changed. He shouted at Lin Zhon and his other teammates, "It's here." "Oh, you found it." The others rushed over immediately. "I can't feel its aura. It's probably dead." "Old Yang, this is your show. Open the body and see if there's a starbone," Lin Zhon said with an intense gaze. "No problem. Leave it to me." Yang Fei sniggered and bent down. He pushed away the rocks at the side and pulled the single-horn Denglong out of the debris. Then, he took out a dagger and started dealing with the corpse. The single-horn Denglong was dead. Its body was riddled with wounds, and it had lost a lot of blood. "Brother Yang is like the butcher of the team," Wang Teng smiled and teased him. "Ha ha ha, well, he indeed has the talent. He's suitable for this job." Lin Zhon laughed. Yang Fei smiled. He seemed pretty proud. A few moments later, he cut off the horn and claws of the single-horn Denglong. Then, he skinned the entire corpse. "What a pity. This skin is heavily damaged, so the price will be heavily discounted," Yang Fei said with regret. "As compared to the starbone, this is just a small change. Stop wasting time. Look for the starbone first," Lin Zhon urged him. Yang Fei nodded. He took a deep breath and placed his hand on the single-horn Denglong's corpse. He felt the corpse for a few seconds before beaming a happy smile. "There's a star core." While speaking, he had already stabbed the dagger into the single-horn Denglong's body. He lifted his dagger, and a green round ball rolled out. This was the wind element star core of the single-horn Denglong. The price of a 3-star Star Beast Star Core was much higher than a 1-star Star Core. Even more, this was a Wind Element Star Core. Lin Zhon and the other team members were elated. Even without the Starbone, this Star Core was enough to earn them a considerable amount of money. But the next instant, Yang Fei shouted in surprise, "Starbone! There's really a Starbone! Ha ha ha, leader, we're going to be rich. Great! Quick, dig it out." Lin Zhon gave a bright smile as he opened his eyes wide. Yang Jinming and even Liu Yang and Yang Jinyu, who were a distance away, were ecstatic when they heard this piece of news. A Starbone. They had guessed that there might be a Starbone in this Star Beast, but the probability of finding it was really low. All they had was an ounce of hope. However, there was really a Starbone. They would definitely put this up for auction. It would fetch an amazing price. On the other hand, Wang Teng was relatively calm. After all, he had a Starbone already, and it belonged to him only. When he saw his teammates' exhilarated expressions, he couldn't help but ask them, "Leader, you are a 3-star elite martial warrior team. This is just a Starbone. Do you have to be so excited? It's just a..." Everyone turned around and glared at Wang Ting with hidden bitterness. "You brat, that's easy for you to say. This is the first Starbone we have found after so many years, but you seem to be looking down on it. Don't you know the price of a Starbone?" "I do. I performed quite well during the martial arts exam, so the leader of the Ministry of Education of Donghai gave me one as my reward. I heard that it's very precious, that's all." "Your reactions are too exaggerated," Wang Teng said calmly as he continued his acting. The other people were speechless. F***K. Comparisons are odious. Look at him. He doesn't need to risk his life to hunt and kill star beasts. He was able to get a Starbone as his reward. Look at us. Sigh, forget it. There's nothing worth comparing. The other team members felt depressed. The gloomy aura hung over them as they turned their backs to Wang Teng and decided to ignore him in unplanned unison. "Wang Teng, what did I do wrong?" Suddenly, Yang Fei exclaimed happily, "I found it. It's the leg bone." He moved the dagger in his hand and slit the flesh of the beast. He then extracted a bone from the corpse of the single-horn Deng Long. This piece of bone was white all over except for the center. There was a green color crystal clear section in the bone. There were thin lines on the green color section of the bone. It looked mysterious and profound. It felt cool and icy to the touch. "Quick, let me touch it. Oh my god, I have been a martial warrior for so long and have only seen it once from afar. I have never touched a Starbone before." Lin Zhon snatched the thigh bone from Yang Fei's hand. He caressed the green color section of the bone gently with an enchanted expression. He really looked like... Imagine a fierce-looking young man rubbing a white piece of bone as if he was caressing the leg of a beautiful lady. Think of that scene. TSK, it was quite frightening. Yang Fei and Yang Jinming wanted to touch the bone too, but when they saw their leader's expression, they suddenly shuddered and regained their senses. "Cough, leader, you're salivating," Wang Teng couldn't help but remind him kindly. "What?" Lin Zhon was given a fright. He instinctively raised his hand to wipe the corners of his lips. Then, he regained his composure and his eyebrows started twitching. He glanced at Wang Ting ominously from the corners of his eyes. "You little brat, you're getting really bold. Do you want to experience the hammer fist of my love? Ha ha ha, leader, you looked outstanding today. Your face is pinkish, so you must be extremely lucky and supremely fortunate." That sounded a little weird. "Anyway, leader, you are really lucky today. No wonder the Starbone appeared. It must be because the main protagonist's script you have has started to take effect." Wang Teng laughed awkwardly and immediately released his ultimate move, sucking up. As for what the hammer fist of love was, he would leave that to the rest of his teammates. He didn't need this disgusting thing. Liu Yang and Yang Jinyu had just returned after treating their wounds. Yang Jinming, Yang Fei, and the two ladies were shocked when they heard this. They had never seen such a shameless person before. "How interesting, Chempage." Lin Zhon gave a forced smile. Then, he turned serious and said, "Since we have taken care of everything, let's leave. We will return to the Martial Arts Academy. Before the team members could feel happy at the mention of returning to the martial arts academy, they heard him saying, "Oh, right. Old Yang, take a look at the other leg and see if there's another star bone." Everyone. Why didn't they see their leader's money-grubbing side in the past? Even though they complained in their hearts, Yang Fei still executed his leader's order. He slit open the other leg of the single-horn Deng Long and took a look. Nothing. It was normal that there was nothing. You must be dreaming to think that there would be two star bones in a single star beast. Finally, they could retreat in peace. They didn't waste any more time and walked out of the valley. "Leader, how much can you sell this star bone for?" Wang Teng asked curiously along the way. "Most probably, 7 to 800 million. Lin Zhon wasn't certain either. "I saw an auction of a star bone in the past. The buyer bought a 3-star star bone for this price. This star bone should be around the same. What's more, it's a wind element star bone. It is more precious and rarer than a normal element star bone. It's so expensive." Wang Ting was really shocked this time. The star bone director he gave him came from a 1-star star beast. If a 3-star star bone cost 7 to 800 million, that 1-star star bone should cost around 100 million, right? From the looks of it, director, he spent more than he expected. 7 to 800 million is the minimum price. It depends on the buyer. If we meet someone that really wants this piece of star bone, he might buy it for a few billion without batting his eyelids. Lin Zhon smiled and continued. He seemed to be in a good mood. It was understandable. How could a person not be happy when he had a few billion in his pocket? Chapter 121. Power of the Shooting Star Spiral at the entrance of the valley. Screech. The moment Lin Zhon and his team came out, the screech of a bird was heard abruptly from the sky. A huge shadow enveloped them. Everyone's expression changed. They quickly raised their heads. A giant bird was circling the air over their heads. When it flapped its wings, gales were formed. The trees around them swayed right and left from the force. "You're really bold. How dare you snatch something I laid my eyes on?" A young man's voice came from the back of the bird. He was speaking in the common language of the Xingwu continent. Only his voice was heard, though. They couldn't see the person. In an instant, the expressions of the members of the Tiger Warrior team turned ugly. Earlier, Lin Zhon's mood was at a high, and he had been smiling like a blooming flower. However, now, he was tensed up and looked at the bird above him in frustration. "Do you have to be so irritating? Why did you appear now? Why did you come when we finished killing the beast? Are you playing with me?" Wang Ting's heart skipped a beat too. This was most likely the person who had injured the single-horn Deng Long. They thought he had left, but unluckily, they met him right in the face when they came out of the valley. The Tiger Warrior team had just gone through a rough battle. Even Lin Zhon was hurt. They were only left with half of their combat ability. It would be a little tough to win against this person, who was able to hurt the single-horn Deng Long alone. Based on his accent, the other party might be a local from the Xingwu continent. Wang Ting knew from the small booklet of common knowledge that the Xingwu continent and Earth might appear to be at peace on the surface, but in many areas, the competition between these two worlds was huge. Especially in the other party's territory, Earth humans were outsiders. The resources the Xingwu continent provided to martial warriors were already limited. When more people from Earth came, things became even tenser. If they didn't fight, the resources would all be snatched by the other party. This was the situation now. Once the two parties from different worlds met, there was no room for discussions. Only one word: fight. The resources would go to the winner. Lin Zhon exchanged glances with his team members. They understood each other's intentions and decided to fight with the young man. As expected, Lin Zhon mocked, "You are too domineering. This single-horn Deng Long wasn't killed by you. Why can't other people kill it? Since I laid my eyes on it, it's mine." "Who are you?" The young man on the bird replied arrogantly. "Stop bullshitting. If you want it, come down and take it." Lin Zhon scoffed. "Impudent. Little Black, kill them," the young man on the bird ordered in a cold voice. Screech. The bird gave a shrill screech. It glared at the people on the ground with its sharp eyes. Then, It closed its wings and flapped them forcefully. Breathe, gales were formed. Wind blades intertwined with each other as they swept towards the people on the ground. F***K, another wind element star beast. Lin Zhon cursed. He hurriedly raised his shield to block the attack. The other people followed. They retreated and blocked their bodies with their shields. Clang, clang, clang. The wind blades knocked on the shields and gave off the sound of metals clashing into one another. Liu Yang, shoot him down. Yang Fei, Yang Jinming, cover up Liu Yang. Wang Ting, you know how to shoot, right? Hurry, shoot the damn out of him. Lin Zhon hurled commands at his teammates. Yang Fei and Yang Jinming immediately moved to Liu Yang's side. They raised their shield and covered her up. Liu Yang placed her shield behind her back and took down her heavy machine gun. She fired into the air through the gap of the two shields. Bang, bang, bang. A huge number of alloy bullets engulfed the bird in the sky like a bullet rain. Rise. The figure gave another order. The bird flapped its wings, forming a strong wind. It rose straight up into the air and instantly flew more than 10 meters higher. Leader, he's too far away, Liu Yang said with an ugly expression. On the other side, Wang Ting took out his heavy bow and jumped onto a tree. He notched an arrow on the bow and used all the strength he had. Ice force congregated at the tip as he released the arrow. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to score a hit. Damn it. That brat calculated the distance and knew that we couldn't reach him. That's why he's so fearless. Lin Zhon gritted his teeth and said. Ha ha ha, if you are sensible, pass me the item. Otherwise, today will be the day of your death. Arrogant peals of laughter echoed from the sky. Then, they were inundated by wind blades. Are you planning to defeat us with these wind blades? Brat, come down and fight with us one-on-one if you dare. Why are you hiding on top? Don't you know that you look like a coward? Lin Zhon shouted back, refusing to admit defeat. You're looking for death. The young man on the bird was obviously infuriated by Lin Zhon's words. He took out a cannon and aimed it at the people below. Have a taste of my cannon. Boom. A massive explosion sounded. Roaring flames spurted out of the mouth of the cannon, bringing with it a frightening force as the cannonball shot towards Wang Ting and his teammates. What the F***K, that's the fire god cannon. Dodge quickly. Lin Zhon's face turned green. He increased his speed explosively and ran away. The other people's expressions changed too. There seemed to be wheels on their legs as they dashed away. It was as though they had seen some terrifying monster. Wang Ting was cursing in his heart. This bastard was really vicious. He even used a heavy weapon like the fire cannon. He had heard of the fire god cannon before. This thing was expensive to make, and its power was frightening. Ordinary people couldn't afford to use it. The person in the air actually brought one along with him. This was out of everyone's expectation. It was too late to say anything now. They needed to escape. Boom. The force cannonball congregated by the fire god cannon smashed into the ground. Flames gushed into the air, and visible impact waves swept through the forest, bringing everything along with it. Lin Zhon, Wang Ting, and the other team members weren't able to run far at all. The powerful blast moved as fast as lightning. It threw them into the air. Wang Ting could hardly look after himself. At this moment, he didn't have the time to care about other people. Earth element shield. He quickly blocked his front. At the same time, force exploded out of his body and congregated into a yellowish-brown shield. At this life or death moment, his heartbeat increased and his mind was all tensed up. His spiritual power moved automatically and merged into his earth element shield. In that instant, the world suddenly became silent. He had lost his hearing temporarily because of the enormous explosion. His battle shield shattered into pieces. The earth element shield persevered for 3 breaths before it crumbled gradually. It shattered. Hot waves gushed towards him. The impact waves landed on Wang Ting's body, and he felt a collision on his head. His vision turned black. In an instant, he couldn't see anything. A long time seemed to have passed. Yet, it felt like an instant too. Wang Ting shook his head and crawled up from the ground. At the start, his mind was still in a daze. He didn't know what had happened. But, the next second, his pupils constricted. He had regained his memory. I'm still alive. He rejoiced for surviving the disaster. Then, he hurriedly jumped up. However, the action made him gasp in pain. His entire body was aching. This is so painful. Damn it, I wonder how my other teammates are. Wang Ting raised his eyes and looked around him. The ground was all burned black, and there was a deep hole in the middle. The trees around it had collapsed. Flames were raging on the branches of the trees. There's still someone alive. The bird flew down slowly. A young man stood on the back of the bird and looked down on Wang Ting. The attire he was wearing was the style of the Xingwu continent. The two worlds had interacted for 30 years, but they still maintained their unique culture and customs. For instance, people on Earth would not especially wear the clothes of the Xingwu continent. Similarly, the people on the Xingwu continent would not wear clothes from Earth either. He gave a look of contempt and said calmly, "You're a 1-star soldier-level martial warrior. It looks like you're really lucky and managed to keep your life. Your teammates' abilities didn't seem bad. However, they are probably dead now. Tell me, what did you get from the single-horn Deng Long? Who has that thing? If you tell me, maybe I can consider sparing your life." "You killed them?" Wang Ting remained expressionless, but there was a cold glare in his eyes. Although he had known Lin Zhon and the other team members for a short period only, they had taken great care of him. He had to repay them. Also, this person almost killed him. Anyone that wanted to kill him must die. "Why? Do you want to take revenge for them?" The young man scoffed. He didn't hide his disdain. "I don't mind telling you that I'm a 3-star soldier-level martial warrior. If you reply to me honestly, you can live. If not, I will let you die a terrible death. Uncle, may I know how old you are?" Wang Ting interrupted him. The young man was stunned by this strange question. "Also, uncle. Who are you calling uncle?" The young man's veins popped out of his head. He asked with a furious expression, "What do you mean?" "Oh, nothing. I heard that old people are normally naggy." "I want to see if you're an old uncle under that young man's face," Wang Ting said. Old man? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." The young man's expression turned cold. He held his hand into a claw and exuded force on his hand. He then viciously attacked Wang Ting's neck. Wang Ting looked at him as he flew down. His face was calm. 70 meters. 60 meters. 50 meters. At that moment, Wang Ting moved his thoughts. The remaining small amount of spiritual power gushed out of his mind. Flying dagger. A cold glint flew out of his battle uniform. It turned into a flash of lightning and shot towards the young man. Spiritual power. The young man's expression changed tremendously. The cold glint's speed was so fast that he couldn't capture it with his eyes. It seemed to be shuttling between spaces. In a blink of an eye, it appeared in front of him. It was too late to dodge. The young man made a hasty decision and changed the direction of his hand. The force in his body surged out as he clawed towards the cold glint. "Disperse." Wang Ting lifted the edge of his lips as he said this single word. The cold glint exploded below the man's claw. It turned into 6 cold rays and attacked the young man from all directions. Wang Ting remembered the shooting star spirals theory, so when he attacked the first time, he used the 6 flying daggers together as one. Now, he split them up to catch his opponent off his guard. No. Fear finally appeared on the young man's face. His pupils constricted into a needle, the 6 rays of cold lights reflecting in them. He yelled in despair. Slash. The 6 cold lights instantly pierced into the young man's head. Some pierced into his eyes, some went through his forehead, some stabbed into his temples. Blood spurted everywhere. The young man died in a gruesome manner. Blood oozed out of his eyes, nose, and mouth. Panic, despair, unwillingness, and even regret, all kinds of emotions solidified on the face that was slowly losing its vitality. Wang Ting looked at the body as it fell backward. It crashed forcefully onto the ground. He said calmly, "I'm sorry. I don't want to die." Chapter 122, What a good person. Once the young man died, the bird that he was sitting on rose into the air and flew away. It flew away. It just flew away and abandoned its owner. This was a heartless spiritual pet. Wang Ting had a moment of silence for the young man. This man was a failure. Even its spiritual pet abandoned it. How sorrowful. Everything had ended. Wang Ting heaved a sigh of relief. That bird had truly made them suffer. If he could, he wanted to keep it here, but he didn't have the ability to do anything for now. After heaving a sigh of relief, his tensed mind gradually relaxed. The next instant, waves of pain assaulted his mind. It was as though a bat was stirring his brain viciously. A while ago, to resist the attack of the fire god cannon, he had released his spiritual power to form a defensive wall. The consumption was enormous. After that, he had called forth all his energy to defeat the 3-star soldier-level young man. He fought with all his might. That was why his spiritual power was totally drained now. The after-effect almost caused Wang Ting to faint from the pain. It took a long time for the pain to subside. It wasn't that painful anymore, but he still felt like dying. Wang Ting kept up his spirits and started looking for his teammates. He searched for a long time before he finally found everyone. They were all grievously injured and unconscious. No matter how Wang Ting called them, they wouldn't wake up. Their spiritual power wasn't as strong as Wang Ting's, so they were unable to handle the shock from the explosion. Yang Fei was in the worst state. One of his legs broke from the explosion. Blood was everywhere, and the pain caused his body to twitch uncontrollably. Wang Ting could only help him stop his blood. He used whatever medication he could use on him. He treated the others the same way. There were many wounds on their bodies. Many areas were burnt black, so he used internal and external medications on them. He hoped that they would pull through. He didn't have the time to look at the attribute bubbles around him carefully. He just picked them up. He dragged his tired body and placed his teammates in a safe place. After searching the corpse of the young man, he burnt him into ashes to remove the traces. At this moment, in a cave, Wang Ting ate some healing medicine and rested for a few hours. His body and spirit got better gradually. Although he wasn't able to return to his prime, he felt much better than before. Lin Zhon and the other team members had not woken up yet. He sized up the fire god cannon in his hand and found it unbelievable. This fire god cannon was as thick as an adult's thigh and was adorned by simple and unsophisticated patterns on its surface. It looked like the type of cannon that appeared during the Steam Age on Earth hundreds of years ago. Of course, their powers weren't comparable. Who would have thought that this ordinary-looking thing had such extraordinary power? The entire Tiger Warrior team almost died because of its attack. If every martial warrior had one of these, they would be invincible. However, he knew that this was unrealistic. The fire god cannon used the force compression device to compress a huge amount of force into a small ball. Then, it released the ball. The force compression device was said to be something left behind by the previous era in the Xingwu continent. It combined mechanisms, runes, and many other skills of that civilization. In short, it was extremely complicated to create. Also, the materials used in this cannon had to withstand the compressed force. If not, the cannon would explode before the force was released. You would be hitting yourself instead of your enemy. Naturally, this kind of material wasn't cheap. It was hard to find too. Hence, fire god cannon was extremely hard to create. Ordinary people couldn't afford to use it. What did this all mean? The young man had an impressive background. Forget it. He had already killed him. It was useless to think about all these now. Wang Ting shook his head. Besides the fire god cannon, Wang Ting also found a ring when he was getting rid of the corpse. A ring that couldn't be burnt by the flames of force. Is this a space ring? Wang Ting thought of this possibility and used his spiritual power to explore the ring. He instantly felt his vision changing. He saw a space. Oh my god, it's really a space ring. I'm rich now. Wang Ting was elated. A space ring wasn't an everyday item. Even Lin Zhon, who was a 3-star martial warrior, didn't have one. It was rare to hear of this item normally. Maybe it was only used on a small scale, as regular martial warriors probably couldn't afford to use them. You could tell how precious this was. Maybe his insight and imagination were limited by his lack of money. Maybe everyone was using such high-class items. Wang Ting shook his head and mocked himself. He happily played with the space ring as he counted the items inside. There were many things there: energy stones, Dan pills, spiritual Dan, ores, and more. Wow, this fellow is extremely wealthy, Wang Teng exclaimed in his heart. He moved his thoughts and took out a ball of ore from the space ring. Why did he choose this ore and not other things? He couldn't help it. This ore was glittering in gold and was exceptionally eye-catching. Damn it. It's quite heavy. When the ore landed on his hand, Wang Ting felt his palm sinking down. His strength was quite powerful. He might have been caught off guard, but you could tell that the ore wasn't light. It was the size of a basketball, and it was shimmering with gold light. Wang Ting thought that it was gold at first, but now he denied this thought. Gold wasn't so heavy. This must be a special ore from the Xingwu continent. Unfortunately, the ores written in the 5 years of martial arts exam, 3 years of mock papers were all commonly seen ones. This ore wasn't included in that list. Wang Teng kept the ore and turned his attention to his attributes panel. Enlightenment, Spiritual Realm, 0-100, Spirit, Spiritual Realm, 0-3-100, Talent, Intermediate Stage Wind Talent, 6-500, Beginner Stage Fire Talent, 11-300, Beginner Stage Ice Talent, 13-300, Beginner Stage Earth Talent, 12-300, Spiritual Sight, Beginner Stage 1, 4/10, Demon Lotus Poison Body, 41-10,000, Beginner Stage Arrow Talent, 5-100, Space, 0-8-10,000, Force, 11-500, Fire 2-star, 70-100, Ice 1-star, 53-100, Poison 1-star, 51-100, Wind 1-star, 27-100, Metal 1-star, 42-100, Earth 1-star, 3-100, Wood 1-star, 21-100, Water 1-star. Scripture, Red Flame Scripture, Foundation 35-100, Deep Eye Scripture, Foundation 25-100, Earth Lure Skill Earth Element Shield, Foundation 29-100, Wind Soul Scripture, 1-100, Battle Techniques, Basic Battle Techniques, Presence Enlightenment for Fist, Sword, Blade, Footwork, Stick, Basic Arrow Skill, Foundation, Gun Kung Fu, Foundation 4/10, Fire Kirin Sword Skill, Foundation 59-100, Phantom Ice Fist, Foundation 31-100, Moving Mountain Blade Skill, Foundation 5-100, Steps of Gale. Foundation 1-100, Green Gale Claw, 1-500, Basic Subjects, Full Marks, 5 years of martial arts exam, 3 years of mock papers, Full Marks, Overall Battle Power, 342 Blank Attribute, 90 when he killed that young man, he had targeted his head. This might be why there were 3 points of spirit attributes. However, when he added them to this spiritual realm, it only increased by 0.3 points. Without a doubt, the ratio of normal spirit attributes and spiritual realm attributes was 10-1. Next was the Force. After adding 23 points to his Fire Force attribute, he had broken through the doors of 1-star soldier level and reached 2-star soldier level. He was a 2-star soldier level martial warrior. At this moment, Wang Teng was already a 2-star soldier level martial warrior. The second Force nucleus on his spine lit up. The Fire Force poured into the Force nucleus and spiraled in it happily. There was only Fire Force in the second Force nucleus. The other forces still remained in the first Force nucleus. They had not reached the limit yet, so they were unable to enter the second Force nucleus. Because of his advancement, the injury on his body healed fairly quickly. When he felt the power coursing through his veins, Wang Ting smiled. Was this considered getting some good out of a misfortune? But, why did my Fire Force increase so much? Could it be that the Fire God Cannon dropped some Fire Force attributes? He was a little surprised, so he was making wild guesses. Also, his Earth Force had increased by 10, Water Force by 8, Metal Force by 12, and Wind Force by 15 points. The Force attribute of these elements rose again. Wang Ting just scanned through these attributes. His gaze finally landed on his talent, scripture, and battle techniques. Intermediate stage wind talent *5. He saw intermediate stage wind talent again. This young man was able to become a 3-star soldier-level martial warrior before he turned 30. This meant that his talent was not bad. Wang Ting felt that this was all because of his intermediate stage wind talent. Now, Wang Ting was able to feel more intimate towards the wind force in his surroundings. When he used his wind force, it was much smoother. He had a sudden thought. A wisp of wind force came out of his force nucleus and congregated into a green whirlwind ball in his palm. A gust of wind blew in the cave because of this small ball. Is this the wind force? Let's try its power. He moved his thoughts and controlled the green force, condensing it into a wind blade. One go. The wind blade flew out and left a deep scratch on the stone wall. Not bad. If I can condense it further, it will be more powerful. Wang Ting thought to himself silently. His gaze turned to his scriptures and battle techniques. Wind Soul Scripture, Dark Level High Class Scripture, Green Gale Claw, Dark Level High Class Battle Technique. Wang Ting was delighted. The scripture and battle technique the young man dropped were all Dark Level High Class. Based on the price in the internal Jisin Martial House web, these would cost at least a few $100 million. This young man, even though he didn't know what his name was, Wang Ting suddenly felt grateful towards him. This was a good man. He came to send the fire god cannon, the space ring, the talents, and even scriptures and battle techniques. Was there a better person than him? That was why killing someone and snatching their possessions was the correct path to becoming wealthy. Wang Ting touched his chin as he pondered to himself. Suddenly, there seemed to be a dark aura surrounding his body. Wang Ting. At this moment, Lin Zhon's weak voice sounded from behind him. In an instant, everything went back to normal. It was as if nothing had happened. Leader, you're awake. Wang Ting hurriedly got up and walked over. He looked at him in concern and asked, "Do you feel better?" Lin Zhon shook his head. "How's everyone?" "Same as you." However, Yang Fei, Wang Ting stopped talking. Lin Zhon immediately started looking for Yang Fei's figure in the cave. When he saw his broken leg, he visibly shook. Old Yang, after some time, Yang Jinming, Liu Yang, and the rest of the teammates woke up one after another. They gathered around Yang Fei. The atmosphere was silent, and the air was filled with sorrow. When Yang Fei opened his eyes, this was the scene he saw. The expressions on their faces caused his heart to drop. Then, he felt the excruciating pain in his leg. My leg. Yang Fei's eyes were wide open. He was almost howling. This stimulation was too great for him. Old Yang, calm down, Lin Zhon shouted. Chapter 123, Ime Professional. My leg is gone. Damn it, my leg is gone. How do you expect me to remain calm? Huh? Tell me, how the hell do you expect me to remain calm? Yang Fei was a little out of control as he yelled at Lin Zhon. It's all my fault. If I didn't choose to fight with him head-on, this might not have happened, Lin Zhon suddenly said in a depressed tone. Leader, don't blame yourself. No one will give up their spoils of war in that situation. Also, even if we had handed over the items to him, he might not have let us go. This is the world of martial warriors. It has always been like this, Liu Yang consoled him. You chose to walk on this path. Yang Fei, you should have thought of this day. Why are you blaming others? Yang Jinming's words were cruel, but it was the truth. Brother, Yang Jinyu couldn't bear to hear his words. Yang Fei was stunned. Then, he started wailing. Actually, he knew that Yang Jinming was telling the truth, but he couldn't accept it. Everyone kept quiet. Yang Fei cried for a long time before he stopped gradually. His voice was hoarse as he said, Yang Jinming is right. This is all my choice. I can't blame anyone. Leader, I'm sorry. I lost control of my emotions just now. Lin Zhon moved the corners of his lips. In the end, he just sighed and patted Yang Fei's shoulder. When we go back to Earth, go and find an office job. You won't have to live on the edge every day anymore and worry about when you will die. All right. Yang Fei nodded rapidly. The atmosphere was still heavy. Yang Jinming changed the topic and asked, how did we survive? Ask Wang Ting. "He's the one who saved us," Lin Zhon said. The young man thought that all of you had died from the explosion, so he sought his own death and came down from the sky. Noticing that I was just a one-star martial warrior, he let down his guard. I managed to sneak an attack on him. Wang Teng simplified everything. That's it. Everyone was dumbfounded. That's it. Wang Teng nodded. If not, what do you think happened? They were speechless. That was too simple. The powerful character that almost wiped out their entire team was killed by Wang Ting's sneak attack. No matter how many times they thought about it, it sounded unbelievable. Could it be that the guy was just a newbie who managed to force the elite team into a tight corner because he had the frightening weapon, the fire god cannon, and was in the sky? However, that fellow must have a good background. We need to be careful after we go back, Wang Ting said. That's right. He had the fire god cannon, so he might come from some elite family. Lin Zhon nodded. He asked, "Did you clean up the scene?" "I got rid of the corpse and all the traces. I'm a professional." Wang Ting nodded. Everyone's expressions turned weird. Why did he sound as though this wasn't the first time he was doing this? They realized that they seemed to have underestimated this young man. Every time they felt that they understood him, he opened up their minds again. Was this fellow really a high school student who just graduated? After resting for a day and a night, everyone barely recovered. Since they wouldn't be able to heal completely within a short time, they decided to return to Yong City. Especially Yang Fei. It was better to bring him back to Earth to receive the best treatment. He wouldn't be able to get his leg back, though. There was a kind of Dan that was able to regrow bones and flesh, but they were definitely unable to afford it. They could only rely on medical technologies. The few of them carefully left the dark mist forest. They drove the armored vehicle and went back to Yong City. At the Jisin Martial House branch. When their martial warrior friends saw them, they were flabbergasted. "Lin Zhon, what happened to you? Why are you all in this state?" They had already decided on their story. Lin Zhon sighed and said, "Don't talk about it. We met a 4-star beast in the outer circle. We almost couldn't come back. You're really unlucky." The martial warriors from the Martial Arts Academy surrounded them and looked at them with pity. "Everyone, move. Brother Yang is injured. Don't block the way." Someone saw Yang Fei's broken leg, so they hurriedly ordered the others to clear a path. Lin Zhon and his teammates nodded at their friends. They went to the martial arts lobby to make a report before heading to the dimensional rift. The discussions behind them never stopped, even after the other martial warriors saw them leaving. Lin Zhon and his teammates came to the dimensional rift and returned to Earth. They hurriedly sent Yang Fei to the hospital. Yang Fei's family had already received the news and were waiting at the hospital. When Yang Fei's parents and wife saw his miserable condition, they wept uncontrollably. They hugged him and cried their hearts out. At first, they thought that becoming a martial warrior was something to be proud of for their family. All these years, Yang Fei had earned a lot of money, and the life of his family got better and better. He even had a higher identity and status as compared to other normal people. Ever since Yang Fei became a martial warrior, many relatives that never contacted them for a long time came to ask them for help. Their family was incredibly proud no matter where they went. Others were envious when they learned that their family had a martial warrior. However, they never expected this to be the ending. It was difficult to accept it. "All right, stop crying. I just lost a leg. With my ability as a 3-star soldier-level martial warrior, I will be able to live like a normal person after I put on a prosthetic leg. Also, I can find an office job in the Martial Arts Academy in the future. I will be able to go home more often. All of you should be happy." Yang Fei patted the shoulders of his parents and wife and smiled. Yang Fei's wife was a teacher. She looked prim and proper and was less than 30 years old. When she heard his words, she nodded. "You can accompany your daughter and me more in the future. I won't have to be in a state of anxiety all the time either. It's good that you're alive." Yang Fei's parents wiped their tears and looked at him amiably. "Yang Fei, don't worry. I will personally settle your work for you. You have more than sufficient ability to be a martial warrior instructor. I think that the Martial Arts Academy will give you a satisfactory answer. Lin Zhon patted Yang Fei's shoulder and said. Thank you, leader. Yang Fei nodded. Why are you so polite? If you have any troubles in the future, you can call us. We have been teammates for many years. We might not be blood related, but we're closer than a family, Lin Zhon said. That's right. If you don't call us, we will beat you up. Liu Yang waved her fist at Yang Fei. Then, she said to his wife, Sister, you need to look after him. This fellow might seem humble, but has actually really stubborn. Sister Liu, don't worry. Yang Fei's wife smiled and replied, Come and visit us often. Our daughter keeps talking about you. All right. Tell your daughter that I will come with a gift next time, Liu Yang smiled and said. After settling Yang Fei, the other team members bade farewell and left. Go back and get some rest. We will calculate our gains tomorrow and sell them to the Martial Arts Academy. If we sell them internally, we won't be cheated. As for the Starbone, I will see if there's an auction. We will put it up for auction, Lin Zhon said. The other team members had no objections. On the way home, Wang Ting felt complicated. He never expected his first trip to the Xingwu continent to be so short but so eventful. He had experienced so many things. He was deeply affected. Chapter 124. They actually have a small secret. On the way home, Wang Ting thought of many things. He had only become a martial warrior for a short time, but he had experienced many upheavals. At the start, he was attacked by two martial warriors, allowing him to see the ruthlessness of the martial warrior world. Then, he saw the cruelty of the actual combat assessment. After that, it was this trip to the Xingwu continent. The entire martial warrior world seemed to be covered in layers of shore. It was slowly revealing its true face to him layer by layer. He never knew that behind all the glamour of martial warriors, it was so bloody and gruesome. When there were gains, there were losses. If you wanted to gain something, you would have to lose something. Wang Ting sighed. His belief got firmer. Mister, I'm not going to Fuhua Villa district anymore. Please drive to the university town. He suddenly opened his eyes and spoke to the driver in front. Before leaving, he had told his parents that he would be out for a month. It had only been a few days. If he went back now, he would need to explain to them. If they knew what he experienced in the Xingwu continent, they might be even more worried. There was no need to let them do another round of psychological construction. He was going to the Xingwu continent again soon. This time, he decided to go alone. The driver glanced at Wang Ting from the rearview mirror. He didn't say anything. This fellow looked wealthy and stupid. Hence, he turned his car around and headed to the university town. At the university town, in front of his rented house, Wang Ting met his landlord. He was bringing his wife out for shopping. This middle-aged man was always half a head shorter in front of his wife. Old brother Wang, Sister Han, are you going out to play? Wang Ting opened the door of the small courtyard and asked casually. Hey, brother Wang, I haven't seen you in a while. Yes, your sister Han wants to buy some clothes, Wang Depao smiled and replied. I have been busy with the university entrance exam recently. I finally had time to come here again today, Wang Ting said. Oh, so you're taking the university entrance exam this year? How is it? Speaking about it, the top scholar for the martial arts exam this year is called Wang something. Another young man with the surname Wang. As expected, our Wang family has a lot of talents, Wang Depao said proudly. The corners of Wang Ting's lips twitched. There are many talents in the Wang family, but that doesn't include you, the salted fish uncle, right? Also, I'm standing right in front of you. What do you mean by Wang something? Sister Han, who was standing beside him, rolled her eyes at her husband. The top scholar of the martial arts exam this year is called Wang Teng. Brother Wang, that must be you. Huh? Wang Depao was stunned. He touched his head and asked, I do think he's called Wang Teng. Is that really you? Wang Teng was speechless. Old brother Wang, you need to drink more goji berry tea. Look at your memory. Bullshit. Your old brother Wang's body is really good. I don't need any goji berry tea, Wang Depao said guiltily. HMPH. Sister Han snorted. Brother Wang, carry on with your stuff. We won't disturb you. After she said that, she pulled Wang Depao's hand and left. Wang Teng laughed while shaking his head. He entered his rented house and closed the door properly. He went to the room to take a look at the crow egg. It hadn't hatched yet. It was still inside. Wang Teng didn't care about it. He took some clothes to change and entered the bathroom to wash up. When he came back, he took off his battle uniform so that he wouldn't seem too outstanding when he entered the city area. After bathing, he wiped his hair and walked into his bedroom. He took out his phone and turned it on. When heading to the Xingwu continent, he had turned off his phone. In fact, he didn't even bring his phone along with him. After all, he wouldn't be able to receive signals from the Earth on the Xingwu continent. The moment he opened his phone, a few messages popped out immediately. Some messages were sent by Bai Wei, Xu Jie, and their group of friends. Lin Chuxia and Lin Chuhan had sent him messages too. Bai Wei and Xu Jie asked him what he was doing and wanted to look for him to meet up. Wang Ting shook his head. He would never go out and play. After all, the Xingwu continent was more fun. If he wanted to play, he would go to the Xingwu continent. From Xu Jie's message, he knew that the female devil, Xu Hui, was already back. She was looking for him with all her effort. For some reason, he felt his little bird hurting slightly. He mustn't let her find him. It was too scary. Wang Ting decided not to reply to him. Lin Chuhan had messaged him to inquire about where he brought Lin Chuxia out to play that night. Her excitement never subsided for a few days. Ask your sister. Wang Ting smiled and typed a reply. Why are you scolding me? After some time, Lin Chuhan replied to him. In Chinese, ask your sister can be used to scold people. I'm asking you to ask your sister. Wang Ting was speechless. That stupid lady won't tell me. In that case, I can't tell you either. This is our secret. The two of you actually have a small secret. Lin Chuhan felt as if the entire world had forsaken her. She felt depressed for no reason. Men are indeed flirtatious and unfaithful. Should I steam, barbecue, or fry him? What's wrong with you? When Wang Ting that she didn't reply for a long time, he couldn't help but send a message. Go away. She replied with 2 angry words and then ignored him. Wang Ting, you were the one who looked for me first. Now, you're asking me to go away. Am I someone you can call over whenever you want and push away whenever you feel like it? Women are so fickle-minded. Sure, I'll leave immediately. A shameless message was sent out. The last message was a short one by Lin Chuxia. Brother-in-law, when are you bringing me out to play again? Wow, this young lady is addicted. Wang Teng replied, I'm not free. At the Lin family's house, Lin Chuxia got excited when she saw Wang Teng's message. However, after she saw the content, she pouted. Brother-in-law suddenly doesn't like me anymore. Lin Chuxia laid on the table and felt dejected. Oh right, did you see the USB that the god of guns gave you? Eyes closed face. Meow. Wang Ting sent another message. When Lin Chuxia saw the message, she felt excited again. There's a skill called gun kung fu recorded on the USB. It looks really amazing. As expected, this USB was mass-produced. Was it reliable? Wang Ting sent another message as he pondered about this. Did he add any private things inside? No. How is that possible? Wang Teng was surprised. What else is there supposed to be? Lin Chuxia was stunned too. Ha ha ha. Wang Ting sent an awkward smile emoticon over. Damn it, that fellow treated me differently. K him. Nothing. If you're bored, you can practice gun kung fu. I don't know if it's real or fake. Alright, I'll give it a try. That's all. I'll get busy with my things. Alright. After he replied to all the messages, Wang Teng took a deep breath. He also received another message of a bank transfer into his account, 3 million. There was a short message added at the end. Wang Teng, the volcano salamander has been sold. I have transferred the money to you. Wang Teng understood what happened. During the actual combat assessment, he had killed a volcano salamander and the 3 martial warriors at the scene helped him sell it. He didn't expect one one-star beast to fetch him 3 million. The money came too quickly. This didn't include the star core. If not, the price would be higher. Indeed, the money of a martial warrior came really quickly. If he killed more star beasts, he would be able to reach a few 100 million soon. He had a space ring now, so things would be more convenient for him. Chapter 125. Why are you slandering me? Speaking of the USB the god of guns gave him, Wang Teng suddenly remembered the illegible map he drew. Well, he could call it a map for now. Wang Teng suddenly got invigorated. He went online and started searching based on the design of the map. However, half an hour later, he couldn't find a place that corresponded to the map. His efforts were all in vain. Damn it, did I get fooled by him again? Why did I use the word again? Wang Ting shook his head. Forget it. Why am I arguing with a mental patient? I wonder how much I can earn from this trip to the Xingwu continent. Wang Ting pondered silently. Because of the explosion by the fire god cannon, his shield was broken and his battle uniform was ruined. He wouldn't be able to use them again. Those things had cost him a few million. He felt his heart hurting just thinking about it. But reality proved that the shield and the battle uniform were able to protect his life during critical times. Hence, he had to buy them again once they were spoiled. I don't think I have enough money. Let's buy them after the leader sells off the battle spoils. Wang Ting counted what was left of his money. Zhao Gangbao gave him 10 million as compensation, and he earned 3 million from selling the volcano salamander. It seemed like a lot, but Wang Ting wanted to buy something better. Protecting his life was the most important. Then, there was the shooting star spiral as well. He must forge it as soon as possible. The shooting star spiral was a unique trump card. His power would be heavily discounted if the weapon that could unleash his potential wasn't present. Wang Ting immediately contacted Master Lu. Are you there? Master Lu, yes, dear. I've already completed examining the blueprint of the shooting star spiral. This sentence was followed by a smiley face that was laughing hysterically. Wang Ting asked, can you make it? Master Lu, no. Wang Ting felt the veins on his forehead popping out. Why are you laughing when you can't do it? Master Lu, but I showed it to my senior brother. He said that it's a piece of cake for him, *****. This was followed by a please praise me emoticon. Wang Ting, can you complete your sentence at once next time? Master Lu, no problem dear Phi, Omega ***. Wang Ting felt helpless. Wang Ting, how am I supposed to pass the materials to you? Master Lu, the materials are indeed rare. It's better to hand them over personally. Wang Ting raised his eyebrows. Were they going to meet face to face? Wang Ting didn't mind. As the official partner of Jisin Martial House, Master Lu was worth trusting. Wang Ting, how should I look for you? Master Lu, there's no need to look for me. Look for my senior brother. He's helping someone forge his weapon in Donghai. I'll send you his address and phone number. You can contact him directly, dear. Wang Ting, all right. The other party sent him a phone number. Wang Ting dialed the number and arranged to meet the person tomorrow afternoon. The following day, at 9 a.m., Wang Ting arrived at Jisin Martial House and joined Lin Zhon and the rest of his teammates. Hez here. Lin Zhon walked over. Well, go to the 3rd floor. The Star Beast material transaction zone is there. Wang Ting nodded. When the group arrived on the 3rd floor, they walked past the corridor and stopped in front of a door. The transaction room. These were the 3 words written on the door. They entered the room. It was extremely spacious. More than 10 staff were arranging all kinds of Star Beast materials on the empty ground on the right side. They seemed really busy. Directly facing the door was a row of tables. A few people were sitting behind the tables. There were 2 small teams of martial warriors selling their ingredients. They were bargaining with the staff behind the table. Let's wait for a moment, Lin Zhon said. Wang Teng and his teammates nodded. After some time, one of the 2 teams finished their transaction and turned around. They had satisfied expressions on their faces as they prepared to leave. Lin Zhon, I heard that you were grooming a newbie. Why are you back so early? The leader of the team was a middle-aged man. He was stunned when he saw Lin Zhon. An accident happened, so we had to return first, Lin Zhon replied with a bitter smile. Why? Is the newbie disobedient? The middle-aged man frowned. I advised you against it, you know. He's the top scholar of the martial arts exam. He's definitely someone hard to deal with. He will be huge trouble for you once you let him into your team. Wang Ting. He got reprimanded for no reason. Wang Ting felt extremely wronged. He looked at the man with hidden bitterness. How did I provoke you? Why must you slander me? Old Zhao, you are wrong this time. If it wasn't for this newbie, we wouldn't have been able to come back. Lin Zhon pulled Wang Ting out to the front and continued, Look, this is the top scholar of the martial arts exam, a one-star martial warrior. He's not like the other newbies who only drag people down. He has genuine skill. Of course, the most important thing is, he is really sinister. Straight face. At first, Wang Teng was happy. Toward the end, though, he was caught off guard by Lin Zhon. Really sinister. F***K, how am I sinister? I'm such a straightforward and down-to-earth person. I work hard, yet you said I'm sinister. There's no need to speak anymore. Let's sever our relationship. We are not friends from now on. That middle-aged man looked at Wang Ting in surprise. His teammates also sized Wang Ting up curiously. Is he really as sinister as you said? Of course. Lin Zhon nodded seriously. The corners of Wang Ting's lips twitched. He was on the verge of blowing his top. Is this enough? Are you done? Good fellow. This is the first time Lin Zhon praised someone like this. The middle-aged man raised his thumb. Coming back, what did you meet? Don't mention it. We met a 4-star star beast. The middle-aged man gasped in shock. You're really unlucky. I've heard this sentence no less than 5 times after I came back. As a martial warrior, there's no such thing as being unlucky. This is the path we chose, Lin Zhon said. I need to sell my materials. Talk to you again soon. Looks like your gains are not bad. Let me take a look at them, the middle-aged man smiled and said. We suffered such a huge loss. How can we not have any gains? Lin Zhon arrived in front of the transaction desk and poured all the materials out. Wow, this is the horn of a star beast. There's a star core too. The middle-aged man exclaimed. The transaction staff raised his head in astonishment too. Then, he asked, Are you selling everything? That's right. Please count them. The staff nodded and started counting the items. At the same time, he inspected the items and gave them an estimated price tag. The claws are 7 million. The horn is 12 million. The star core is 50 million. The claws of the gale wolves will be 6 million in total. The fangs of the earth armor pig will be 1 million, its armor is 2 million, and its star core will be 11 million. Do you have any objections regarding this price? Asked the staff after giving his estimate. The price of the single horn Denglong star core is too low. That's a 3-star beast. It should be at least 70 million. Lin Zhon shook his head. 50 million is already very high. I quote you this much because it's a 3-star star beast core. If you sell it outside, you might not be able to get this price, the staff replied. No way, our team suffered many losses in order to kill this single horn Denglong. Lin Zhon shook his head continuously. How about this? Since we are all members of Jisin Martial House, I'll give you 60 million, the staff hesitated before answering. A little higher. This is the highest I can go. Lin Zhon exchanged glances with his teammates. They looked as though they were losing 10 billion. He gritted his teeth and nodded. Sigh, all right. I will take this price. Transaction staff like you are like vampires. 60 million is definitely not your limit. Brother, if you want to eat meat, you have to leave some soup for us, the staff replied with a forced smile. Lin Zhon snorted. After finishing the transaction, everyone walked out of the room and started splitting the gains. By right, I should be getting 30%. Liu Yang, Yang Fei, Yang Jinming, and Yang Jinyu will get 15%, while Wang Teng gets 10%. However, Yang Fei got into an accident, so I decided to take only 10% this time. I'll give 15% to Yang Fei and the other 5% to Wang Teng to thank him for saving us, Lin Zhon said. Leader, how can you do that? You can't bear everything yourself, Liu Yang said. That's right. Why don't we reset the distribution ratio entirely? Yang Fei can take 40%, Wang Ting will get 20%, and we will all take 10%, Yang Jinming said. I don't need so much. Wang Ting felt a little embarrassed to receive such a high share. After all, he had already gotten a space ring from the young man as well as the fire god cannon. Lin Zhon and his teammates didn't covet it and gave it to him directly. Yang Fei can take 50%. I will take 10% just like the rest of you. After all, I've already had many gains. Okay, let's stop arguing. We will follow this percentage. Lin Zhon had the final say. Liu Yang and the other team members didn't have any more to add. Once Wang Ting chose to give his 10% to the injured Yang Fei, their impression of him rose again. They treated him more like their teammate. I went to check yesterday night. There's an auction 3 days later. It will be a grand auction held by one of the top 10 international auction houses, Bangda. Many important people will be at the auction. In fact, we're lucky this time. Let's auction this star bone. It will definitely fetch a good price. Lin Zhon smiled as he spoke. The Bangda auction house? And a grand auction at that. It's a rare occasion that might only happen once every few years, Yang Jinming said in astonishment. That's why I said that we're lucky, Lin Zhon replied. There will be many important people. Will we get targeted by someone? Wang Teng frowned and asked. You don't have to worry about that. The identity of the owner of the auction item will be kept a secret. They have never lost their credibility after so many years. If not, they won't be able to become one of the top 10 auction houses, Lin Zhon replied. That's true. Even some bidders who don't want to show their faces can hide their identities too. I've never heard of anyone's identity getting exposed. Liu Yang agreed. Also, the star bone might seem priceless to us, but to these wealthy and important people, it is just a small fraction of their wealth, Yang Jinming said. That's right. The world of wealthy people is not something we can imagine. Liu Yang lamented. Wang Teng suddenly felt that he might be a poor lad. What rich second generation? He wouldn't bring this identity out anymore. It was embarrassing. It's decided then. Let's bring the star bone there now and sign the agreement. After that, we will only have to wait for the auction 3 days later, Lin Zhon said. Thus, the team went to the Bangda auction house. When the auction house manager heard that someone had come with a star bone, he hurriedly went out to welcome them. He brought everyone to a meeting room and poured some tea. He said with a pleasant smile on his face, Everyone, are you planning to sell the star bone? Lin Zhon didn't say anything. He just took out the star bone. Quick, ask Old Shu to come. The eyes of the manager lit up. He ordered the staff beside him. After some time, an old man strode into the meeting room. Where is the star bone? Hurry up, and let me take a look. Half an hour later, the group walked out in a jovial mood. Their star bone would be the 7th last item to be auctioned. This position was enough to show how much importance the auction house placed on their item. They would definitely get a good price for it. Chapter 126, Smithery. In the afternoon, Wang Teng came to the district where Master Lu's senior brother was living. He looked at the slightly worn-out old street and wondered to himself, do all the masters live in this kind of place? Does this kind of place appear higher in class? Does it make them appear more stylish? Forget it. Let's not care about this. Wang Teng walked into the old street and stopped outside a broken-down shop called Master Lu Branch Store. He was speechless when he saw this name. It was really recognizable. This shop was a little too dilapidated, though. People who didn't know what it was might think that it was opened by a blacksmith from the countryside. Wang Ting shook his head and entered the shop. He scanned his surroundings. Just like its exterior, the shop was simple and crude. There was ironware placed casually all around him, including kitchen knives, butcher knives, spatulas, and many others. Oh my God, Were there people who wanted to forge these items? Weren't they all mass-produced? Fortunately, he also saw blades and swords. If not, he would have thought that he was in the wrong place. Is anyone here? Wang Teng didn't see anyone inside, so he shouted towards a door in the shop. Who is it? A voice came from inside. I made an appointment with you yesterday about forging the shooting star spiral, Wang Teng replied. Oh, the shooting star spiral. You can come in. The voice sounded again. Wang Teng entered the door and walked in. After passing through a short corridor, he was greeted with a huge forging room at the back. A man with muscles all over his body was holding a big iron hammer and hammering something in front of the furnace. When he saw this slightly ancient forging scene, Wang Teng was stunned for a moment. The inside of the furnace was entirely red, and heat waves flowed out continuously. The temperature of the room was extremely high because of the furnace. Wang Teng frowned. The ice force flowed through his entire body to alleviate the heat. Please wait for a moment. I'm almost done. The muscular hunk raised his huge hammer and knocked the sword he was making. Sparks flew everywhere. Sweat drenched his entire body. All right, you can finish your work first. Wang Ting looked at him with interest. A few seconds later, his gaze suddenly paused. Smithery *5 an attribute bubble dropped from the muscular hunk. You can drop attributes when you're forging weapons? Wang Ting was dumbfounded. Then, he used his spiritual power to pull the bubble over. A new item appeared in his knowledge column. Smithery, Foundation 5100, at the same time, knowledge of smithery appeared in his mind. It was very abstract with no flow to it. But, this wasn't a problem. As long as he kept picking up attribute bubbles, his smithery knowledge would increase. It was not harmful to learn some smithery. He might be able to forge his own weapons in the future and wouldn't need to seek help from others. Now, the only problem was, will I become a muscular blacksmith in the future? Just thinking about it made his hair stand on ends. He was unable to accept himself having so many muscles on his body. He hurriedly shook his head to shake the image out of his mind. It was so frightening. If that really happened, he would rather give up. He could just spend money and let other people forge his weapons. It was a little troublesome, but compared to his own image, this was nothing. Smithery *5 her? It dropped again. Let's pick it up. Wang Ting saw another attribute bubble drop, so he picked it up without thinking. He could learn smithery first. Whether he used it or not was another thing. At this moment, Wang Teng wasn't impatient anymore. He hoped that he could wait a little longer to see if the muscular hunk would drop more attribute bubbles. The muscular hunk probably had some misunderstanding of the phrase almost done. After he greeted Wang Teng, he threw him to the back of his mind and started forging his sword seriously. He seemed to have forgotten about Wang Ting. Smithery *3 Smithery *5 Fortunately, Wang Teng didn't wait in vain. He decided to forgive the blacksmith because of the attribute bubbles. Smithery, Foundation 53100, It was hard to imagine that after a round of waiting, he had received 53 points of smithery attributes in total. Now, more and more knowledge of smithery appeared in his mind. He felt a sense of familiarity in his body, as though he had practiced forging, degree of heating, the strength of hammering, and distinguishing metal patterns for more than a year. He suddenly felt that his mind was filled with good stuff. This was amazing. Suddenly, another attribute bubble drop. This. Lu hammering skill *5 It was a hammering skill. However, this hammering skill was different from the mace skill during a battle. This one was used to forge weapons. Oh my god, there was a surprise at the end. This hammering skill was worth picking up. He didn't pick up the mace skills for battle since he didn't like to use battle maces. That was against his image. But, this was different. If he really wanted to be a blacksmith in the future, he needed to have this hammering skill. The Lu hammering skill became one of his battle techniques. Lu hammering skill, Foundation 5100, a light figure started practicing the skill in his mind. Then, like the rivers that flowed back into the sea, it seeped into his body. This is good stuff. Wang Ting's eyes lit up like light bulbs. The Lu hammering skill was actually an earth rank skill. What a massive gain for him. The price of an Earthrank battle technique was frighteningly high. Also, this wasn't a normal battle technique either. It was a rarely seen smithery technique, so the price would be even higher. Lu. Master Lu. Was this a family business and skill? Wang Ting pondered. If he stole the other party's unique skill, would it be a little uncool? If Master Lu knew what kind of shameless person he found, he would probably vomit blood in anger. Sorry to make you wait for so long. A rough voice pulled Wang Ting's attention back. It's all right, it's all right. It was not very long. Wang Ting smiled and said. Lu Zixing. The way Wang Ting smiled, for some reason, Lu Zixing felt that this youngster was a little sinister. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lu Zixing, Lu Zixing Syad. Lu Zixing? Wang Ting looked at him strangely. This name. Zili Zhenxing one, Lu Zixing said helplessly. He had blamed his eccentric master for giving him this name countless times. Why couldn't he think of other names for him? Master Lu, it's my honor to meet you, Wang Teng replied in an enlightened tone. I've seen the blueprint for the shooting star spiral you want to forge. There's no problem. Have you brought the materials? Lu Zixing asked. Yes, I've brought them. Wang Ting took out the starbone and the dark ice stone. Lu Zixing's eyes shimmered, looking like a predator that saw his prey. He hurriedly wiped his hands, took the materials, and observed them carefully. These are good materials. Lu Zixing caressed the starbone and the dark ice stone with his rough and big hands. He closed his eyes as though he was sensing something. In the end, he couldn't help but praise the materials. With these two items, I can create a 6-star shooting star spiral. 6-star. Wang Ting was shocked. He could make a 6-star weapon? The two materials were part of the reason, but Lu Zixing's forging skills must be extremely powerful too. However, these two materials can only be the main materials. Are you going to prepare your own secondary ingredients, or do you want me to help you purchase them? Lu Zixing asked. Chapter 127, Let's Create a Brick. Wang Ting had a sudden thought. He took out all kinds of ores from his space ring and piled them on the ground. Take a look. Do you think you can use any of these? Space ring. Lu Zixing was shocked. Where did this fellow come from? He actually had a space ring. He pondered over Wang Ting's identity as he lowered his head and identified the ores on the ground. He just glanced at the materials and chose a few that he could use. Then, he stopped looking at them. However, when he saw the golden ore, his gaze froze. Dark weight luminary gold. Dark weight luminary gold? Wang Ting was shocked. You recognize this? He didn't expect to meet someone that understood ores at this place. One also, looking at the other party's expression, this dark weight luminary gold seemed to be quite a treasure. Could it be that this was a rare ore? I'm a blacksmith. Recognizing all kinds of ores and metals is a necessary skill, Lu Zixing said. This is an extraordinary metal. Due to its heaviness, it's an excellent material for strength-based martial warriors. Is it very heavy? I don't think so. I feel that it's all right. Wang Ting picked up the metal block the size of a basketball and weighed it in his hand. He found it effortless. It wasn't heavy at all. Haha, try merging your force into it, Lu Zixing said. He seemed to be looking down on a non-professional. Wang Ting. He poured his force into the piece of ore. F***K. Suddenly, his hand sank. The metal ore almost escaped his grip and landed on the ground. This is really heavy, Wang Teng exclaimed in shock. In theory, the more force you pour in, the heavier it would be. The weight of this ore can increase continuously, Lu Zixing explained. Wang Teng's eyes lit up. Are you selling this dark weight luminary gold? Lu Zixing suddenly asked. Wang Ting. Were people in this industry all like this? In the past, Master Lu also asked him whether he was selling his starbone and dark ice stone when he saw the materials. Now, Lu Zixing said the same thing. Wang Teng didn't know that to a blacksmith, a good material was hard to come by. The most painful thing was finding good materials and not being able to get them. I'm not selling it. Wang Teng was speechless. Can't you reconsider? Lu Zixing tried one last time. If I say I'm not selling it, I'm not selling it. Wang Ting hesitated for a moment, and an idea flashed through his mind. Can you forge a weapon using this or for me? Lu Zixing was a little disappointed, but this was within his expectations. No one would be willing to sell such a good thing. You want to use this to make a weapon? No problem. What weapon do you want to forge? Dark weight luminary gold is best for heavy style weapons like battle axes, battle maces, or flayers. However, the material is a little limited. You need to add other materials. As he was speaking, Wang Ting interrupted him. Help me forge a brick. Brick. Lu Zixing suspected he might have heard wrong. He glared at Wang Ting with his eyes wide. That's right, a brick. Wang Ting nodded in confirmation. No. Forging it into a brick is a humiliation to the dark weight luminary gold. You're a wastrel. A wastrel. Lu Zixing was so angry that he started panting. He wasn't willing to do it no matter what. He highly detested Wang Ting's actions of wasting such rare and precious materials. Oh, if you can't do it, I can ask other people to make it for me, Wang Ting said casually. You. Lu Zixing glared at Wang Ting. Unfortunately, Wang Ting just ignored him. This material is mine. I can decide what I want to do with it. In the end, Lu Zixing just sighed helplessly and accepted his fate. The material wasn't his, so it was useless for him to say anything. Forget it. Let me do it. Even if you only want to make a brick, I can make its rank higher. If you give it to other people, they will most likely waste this dark weight luminary gold, Lu Zixing said in a powerless tone. I will have to trouble you then. Wang Ting sniggered. A sly look flashed past his eyes. As expected, real professionals were all honest and stubborn. They were so easy to fool. What are you thinking? How did you come up with making a brick? Lu Zixing was still complaining. I feel that a brick is very convenient. It's really easy to use, Wang Ting said. Lu Zixing. Convenient. He finally knew why this brat gave him a sinister feeling. What normal person would think of forging a brick to use as a weapon? I will take 10 million from you as the forging fee. You can collect your items in 3 days. He didn't want to argue with Wang Ting anymore. He felt his brain hurting even though he only spoke a few sentences. This brat was poisonous. From the bottom of his heart, Wang Ting felt that he was getting disliked. This was a sad and sorrowful event. He paid the money and walked out of Master Lu's branch store. For some reason, he felt a little sad. Everyone seems to have some misunderstanding with me. He could only collect his shooting star spiral and brick in 3 days. The auction was 3 days later too. Within this time, the only thing Wang Ting could do was wait. The next day, he had nothing to do. He decided to visit the Master Lu branch store again. Lu Zixing's expression changed slightly when he saw Wang Ting. What are you doing here? Didn't I tell you to come back 3 days later to collect the items? Oh, I just came to take a look. I can't do that, asked Wang Ting. You can. But, don't talk much and don't interrupt my work. Lu Zixing looked really uncomfortable. He looked as though he just ate a pile of shit. I won't talk. You can do your things. I'll just stay at the side. Wang Ting felt extremely wronged. Lu Zixing was too lazy to care about this drama king. He returned to his work. The sound of metal clanging echoed in the room. Surprisingly, it felt a little rhythmic. Smithery *5 Smithery *8 Lu hammering skill *5 Wang Ting happily collected the attribute bubbles at the side. This was the primary purpose of this trip today. He wanted to collect the fur from this muscular lamb. At night, Wang Ting bid farewell to Lu Zixing and said, Master Lu, I'll visit tomorrow too. You're still coming tomorrow? Lu Zixing looked at Wang Ting as he left. He looked constipated. The next day, Wang Ting came again. He continued collecting the Lu hammering skill and smithery skill attributes. During the next 2 days, his smithery skill broke through the foundation stage and reached small achievement. Smithery, small achievement 23500, The progress of his hammering skill wasn't slower either. He reached the small achievement state. Lu hammering skill, small achievement 55,500, with his small achievement smithery skill and Lu hammering skill, Wang Teng was confident to forge a 1-star weapon now. Even if he were to forge a 2-star weapon, he felt that he had a 50 to 60% success rate. The span was extremely wide. 2 days ago, he was an outsider who didn't know anything about smithery. Now, he could already forge a 2-star weapon. If Lu Zixing knew Wang Ting's progress in these 2 days, he might have had a heart attack. He had practiced smithery for 30 years. From someone who didn't know anything to be able to forge a 2-star weapon, he took 7 years. The hardships he had to endure weren't worth telling other people. What about Wang Teng? He only took 2 goddamn days. There was nothing to compare. Nothing. On the last day, Wang Teng didn't go to the Master Lu branch store in the morning. Instead, he headed towards the Bangde auction house to participate in the auction. Chapter 128, The Frog in the Well. 9 a.m. Bangde Auction House. As one of the top 10 auction houses globally, its position and scale were beyond all doubt. The auction today was an important and large-scale event. Naturally, many people came. Most of them came from impressive backgrounds. Usually, during such large-scale auctions, there would always be unexpected items that were rare and precious. They would cause the noble bidders to go after them like a flock of ducks. Even though some people couldn't afford the items, they would find all means to get an invitation. They were willing to break their heads in order to witness this grand occasion. This was something everyone knew. At the same time, this was what Li Liangda was telling his son, Li Rongqing. Today, the main purpose is to let you see the world. You will meet many martial warriors later. That little brat from the Wang family might have become the top scholar of the martial arts exam as a martial warrior, but compared to the people at the auction today, he's nothing. He's just a young lad. If he wants to become a real powerful person, he still has a long way to go. No one knows if his path will break someday either. Li Liangda's expression was ruthless. But, when he looked at Li Rongqing, a hint of love appeared in his gaze. Hence, a moment of defeat doesn't mean anything. No one knows whether you or Wang Ting will be more powerful in the future. Take your martial arts exam next year properly. Our Li family will support you with everything. I don't believe that you can't be better than Wang Teng. Dad, I understand. Li Rongqing nodded like a pecking hen. He clenched his fist tightly, and hope was rekindled in his eyes once again. Wang Ting, just wait. Next year, I will definitely get into a top university. I have the support of the entire Li family. I'll catch up with you soon. At that time, I will make sure you die a terrible death. Just as he was imagining how he would enter a top university and throw Wang Teng far behind him after he got stronger, a familiar back view appeared in his vision. The hideous smile on Li Rongqing's face abruptly froze. Wang Ting, Dad, it's that little brat. Li Liangda looked in the direction Li Rongqing was pointing at and squinted. When Wang Ting heard the noise, he turned around. Li Rongqing. One can't avoid one's enemy. This thought appeared in both their minds almost simultaneously. Wang Ting didn't care about them, though. He continued walking towards the main entrance. They were holding a grand event today, so security guards were validating the identities of the guests at the entrance. People without invitations weren't allowed to enter. Wang Ting took out his invitation card and walked in first. How did Wang Ting get an invitation card? Did the Wang family get him one? Li Liangda frowned and thought to himself silently. Dad, didn't you say that the invitation is very hard to get? How did he get it? Li Rongqing felt uncomfortable when he saw Wang Ting walking in. He turned around and questioned Li Liangda. Why do you make a fuss out of everything? Why are you feeling unhappy just because of an invitation card? Can you have a broader field of vision? Li Liangda scolded him. I know my mistake. It's just that every time I see him, I lose my emotions. Li Rongqing felt aggrieved. You need to change yourself. If you continue to remain so narrow-minded, your future might be limited. Li Liangda expected better from his son. However, he still explained patiently, As for the invitation, it's hard to get one, but with the Wang family's ability, they could get their hands on it if they make some effort. Li Liangda thought that Wang Ting's invitation came from the Wang family. He never expected Wang Ting to get the invitation himself. He lectured Li Rongcheng for his narrow-mindedness, but he didn't know that his own vision was limited too. While he was laughing at other people for being a frog in the well, he should raise his head and look up at the sky above him. Was it the real sky? Li Liangda brought Li Rongcheng into the main building of the Bangda auction house. Both of them were wearing formal clothes. They were in suits and leather shoes, looking like they were here for an official banquet. The auction today will be held in the Sky Auction Hall on the 8th floor. Let's go there directly. Li Liangda looked at the invitation card in his hand and said. The two of them came in front of the lift. The lift door was about to close. Wait. Li Rongcheng hurriedly ran over and pressed the lift button. He stopped the doors of the lift that was about to close. Li Liangda glared at Li Rongcheng with a reproachful gaze. Then, he said to the people in the lift, My son was reckless. I'm really sorry about that. There were around 5 people inside, and they all gave off powerful auras. When they glanced at Li Liangda and his son, a hint of contempt flashed past their eyes. Li Liangda was a smart person. Thus, he noticed the people's reactions and felt humiliated in his heart. He even felt hatred. However, he didn't dare to reveal anything. Misters and Miss, we will wait for the next lift. He smiled awkwardly. After the lift door closed, Li Rongcheng's expression turned ugly. He felt disgraceful as he asked, Dad, why do we have to lower our voices and status in front of them? Idiot, why can't you see who those people are? Look at their attires and temperaments. They are most likely martial warriors. How can you offend those people? Do you feel that our Li family is living too happily? Li Liangda was suddenly a little disappointed by his son. He glanced at him and snorted. Li Rongcheng felt a strong sense of unwillingness seeping out of his heart. Martial warriors. Martial warriors again. If he passed the martial arts exam and entered a top university, he would be able to become a martial warrior soon. He wouldn't need to bend down in front of these people and speak humbly to them anymore. It was all because of Wang Ting. He was the one who harmed him. If it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have failed the martial arts exam. He wouldn't be in this state today either. At this moment, the hatred Li Rongcheng had towards Wang Ting got deeper and stronger. Li Liangda seemed to have seen through his thoughts. He said, I know that you hate Wang Ting and want to take revenge. But, you need to become stronger faster. Footsteps were heard behind him. He stopped speaking. Mr. Li, you came to participate in this auction too? A slightly astounded voice was heard. Mr. Xie. Li Liangda turned his head and found someone familiar. He was slightly shocked too. He smiled and said, Yes, I brought my son out to let him experience the world. Mr. Xie, you must have laid your eyes on a certain auction product, so you came to bid for it, right? Xie Kuan felt a vague sense of superiority when he noticed Li Liangda flattering him. He laughed and replied, That's right. I wanted to forge a weapon and saw a suitable item at the auction. Hence, I came to take a look. Xie Kuan was delighted. Before he became a martial warrior, he could only look up to and admire these wealthy people. However, ever since he became a martial warrior, those wealthy people didn't dare to offend him anymore. Sometimes, when they needed to ask him for help, they would fawn upon and flatter him in every way they could. They also needed to spend a considerable sum of money if they wanted his help. Mr. Li was an example. In the past, to get rid of some trouble, he promised to give him 10 million and even begged him before he finally agreed to help. You might be wealthy, but you needed to bow down in front of a powerful and capable martial warrior. Of course, if you were really wealthy, you would be able to invite a stronger martial warrior. You wouldn't need to treat low-rank martial warriors like this. But, in the end, they still had to rely on martial warriors. Martial warriors were slowly becoming the mainstream in this era. Chapter 129, Shu Hui. The lift came. Li Liangda, Li Rongcheng, and Xie Kuan entered it together. Li Rongqing looked at Li Liangda's attitude towards Xie Kuan and felt humiliated and frustrated. At the same time, a strong sense of jealousy arose in him. This was a martial warrior. He must become a martial warrior. Xie Kuan noticed the change of expression on his face and smiled unconsciously. In the past, this was how he felt too. Mr. Li, is this your son? Yes, it's my son, Li Liangda replied. Looking at his age, he is probably going to take the university entrance exam soon, right? Did he take it this year, or is he going to participate next year? Does he plan to take the martial arts exam? Xie Kuan asked. My son is already an advanced stage martial disciple. He took the martial arts exam this year and had hopes of entering a top university. Unfortunately, he was forced to leave the actual combat assessment because of the despicable act of another student. Now, he can only repeat his year and wait for the exam next year, Li Liangda sighed and replied. An advanced stage martial disciple. Your son is very talented, Xie Kuan praised. Then, he frowned and continued, which student is so evil to kick your son out of the actual combat assessment? The grudge is formed. You're right. This is the first time I saw such an evil student. Yet, he still managed to become the top scholar of the martial arts exam this year, Li Liangda said with disdain. The top scholar of the martial arts exam? Is that Wang Ting? Xie Kuan frowned. How could the top scholar have such a flawed character? That's right, it's him. He came to the auction today too. We just met him at the entrance. I know his father, so by right, even if there are some grudges between the younger generations, he should greet me as his uncle Li since I'm his elder. However, he looked at me with contempt and left without even greeting me. Li Liangda shook his head and looked as though he was disappointed by the character of the younger generations nowadays. I've seen many newbies like him. They feel arrogant just because they become a martial warrior. They have not experienced the cruelty of society, so they don't know how ruthless the martial warrior's circle is. Since he's able to become a martial warrior, he must be talented. However, talent doesn't mean that he will have a successful future. I've seen a genius from the Xingwu continent in the past. He also became a martial warrior at a young age. What do you think happened to him? Xie Kuan scorned. What happened? Li Rongqing couldn't help but ask. He died. He got killed by a 2-star martial warrior. That's why ability is the most important thing for a martial warrior. Your talent is only your talent if you are able to change it into your ability. Xie Kuan gave his advice as an experienced senior. Mr. Xie, you're right. Someone like him who doesn't know how to restrain himself will suffer sooner or later. He might not even know who killed him at that time. Li Liangda nodded in agreement. That's right. He's that kind of person. Once you see him, you'll dislike him too, Li Rongqing agreed. As the three of them chatted, they arrived at the auction hall on the 8th floor. The Sky Auction Hall was huge and spacious. In the middle, there was a circle of tables and chairs. These were the seats of ordinary bidders. Besides the auction stage right at the front, the other sides were filled with VIP rooms. There were 2 levels. Only highly respected figures had the right to use these rooms. Wang Teng was already in the auction hall. He was searching for Lin Zhon and his teammates, but they didn't seem to be here yet. He was bored, so he found a seat and sat down. He was enjoying some tea and pastries as he waited for them to come. When this scene landed in the eyes of other people, they found it a little unconventional. The people in the hall were either restraining themselves so that they wouldn't do things that lowered their status or flipping the auction booklet seriously. They didn't see what Wang Teng was doing. There was no one else acting like Wang Teng. Little Ting Ting. Suddenly, a familiar but unfamiliar voice rang beside his ear. It gave Wang Teng a huge scare. This address. This voice. F***K. It's that female devil Shu Hui. Why is she here? Wang Ting almost spat out the mouthful of tea he just drank. All kinds of thoughts flashed past his mind in an instant. He turned and saw the figure that was like a nightmare to him. At the same time, there were a few people following her at the side. Wang Ting didn't recognize any of them. Why are you here? Wang Ting asked as though he had seen a ghost. That's just what I wanted to ask. Shu Hui walked over and glared at him with her hands on her waist. I asked my younger brother to look for you, but you went hiding somewhere. You didn't even reply to my message. What is it? Have you become arrogant just because you were the top scholar of the martial arts exam? Wang Ting looked at the beauty in front of him, who was glaring at him with her hands on her waist. A sense of familiarity rose to his heart. The same ponytail, the same slender and tall figure, the same bad temper. However, in this sense of familiarity, there was a slight hint of unfamiliarity too. At this moment, she was wearing a battle uniform with a sword hanging on her waist. She looked handsome and valiant. There was a different aura on her. He had never seen this attire on her before in his past life. I've been busy recently. In fact, I just came back. Did you send me a message? My phone was off, so I didn't see it. Wang Ting felt his head hurting as he spouted nonsense. Tempage, do you know how you look when you're lying? Shu Hui scoffed. I'm a decent person. I never lie, proclaimed Wang Ting. I only left for a short time, but you've already become so naughty. I'll settle this with you when we return. I'm too lazy to bullshit with you now. Tell me, why did you come here today? Shu Hui rolled her eyes and asked him again. I'll leave immediately after the auction ends later. Do you think I will stay here stupidly to wait for you to find me? Wang Ting thought to himself secretly. I just came to take a look and broaden my horizons. He found a random excuse. Then, he asked, what about you? I also came to take a look with my seniors. Shu Hui finally remembered to introduce the people beside her. These are my seniors from Jiangnan University. You can greet them like how I greet them. Shu Hui, is this the top scholar of the Donghai martial arts exam that you've been talking about recently? A pretty lady beside Shu Hui asked. That's right, senior sister. He's my younger brother's friend, and I grew up with him. I got a huge shock when I heard that he actually became the top scholar of the martial arts exam. Shu Hui smiled and replied to the lady. Childhood friends. Pan Dan Wen teased her. Hearing this sentence, the man behind Shu Hui frowned. He's just a kid. How can he be my childhood friend? He's at most a bootlicker. Shu Hui was too proud to admit it. Wang Ting was speechless. F***K, I'm not a kid. Haha, since you're Shu Hui's friend, you're our friend too. The man behind Shu Hui walked out. He pretended to be magnanimous as he spoke to Wang Ting. Little brother Wang Ting, there are many important people here today. Why don't you follow us? It will be troublesome if you provoke some respectable figure. Wang Ting didn't know what to say when he heard this. It was all right when Shu Hui called him a kid. After all, they were close to each other. But he didn't know this young man at all. Yet, he called him a little brother. When am I your little brother? You are the little brother. Your entire family is little brothers. Where did this person come from? Chapter 130. Who on earth are you? The man in front of him was tall and bulky. He was quite handsome and had a bright smile on his face. But, people with a little more life experience would be able to see that the smile was a little fake. The drinker's heart is not in the cup. Before this, these two had no interaction at all. The only link between them was Shu Hui. Wang Ting shook his head speechlessly. This female devil Shu Hui came to find him for trouble the moment she came back. There's no need for that. I'm waiting for my friends, Wang Ting said. Xie Zhilong frowned secretly. Then, he smiled and said, you can ask your friends to come together. You're just graduated from high school, so you have not experienced many things. We have been in the university for a year or two. We have heard and seen more than you. If you follow us, you can gain some experience. He didn't think much. He believed that Wang Ting's friends must be his peers, so they were just senior high graduates. They probably felt that they were exceptional because they had just passed the martial arts exam. Youth knew no fear. As their senior brother, Xie Zhilong felt that he needed to educate them properly from the perspective of an elder. Pan Danwen and Shu Hui's other seniors silently agreed with his words. They had been through this stage before. They knew better than anyone how they felt when they just graduated from high school. Honestly, they were a little proud at that time. They only learned the immensity of the universe after they entered university. Wang Teng was Xu Hui's friend, so they agreed with Xie Zhilong's suggestion. If they could bring him along, they should. This would prevent him from creating trouble. Little brother Wang Teng, Xu Hui's senior sister, Pan Danwen. You can follow us later. We can take care of each other that way. You don't have to feel shy about it. Pan Danwen was more tactful with her words. Besides, she was as pretty as a flower. When she opened her mouth, it felt as though a breeze blew past their faces. Wang Teng said helplessly, "Senior sister Pan, I'm not shy. I'm really waiting for my friends. I can't make decisions for them. Why are you rejecting us? It seems like you look down on us. Forget it. Let's not ask for a snub," Xie Zhilong said as if he was mocking himself. As expected, the other senior brothers and sisters frowned when they heard this. They were unhappy. This Wang Ting was really insensible. Did he think that he could be haughty just because he was the top scholar of the martial arts exam? Wang Ting, are you stupid? We're asking you to follow us for your own good. Why are you so stubborn? Xu Hui was a little angry as she complained. Wang Ting squinted slightly. He ignored Xu Hui and just smiled ambiguously at Xie Zhilong. Xie Zhiling felt chills running down his spine. Somehow, he felt as though he got targeted by a wild beast. Fear crept up his heart. Did he get scared by a high school graduate? He hurriedly shook his head and felt a little angry from embarrassment. Just when he was about to flare up, he heard a voice behind him. "Zhilong." Xie Zhilong turned his head and smiled brightly. He called out to the man, "Uncle." "Haha, it's really you." Xie Kuan, Li Liangda, and Li Rongqing walked over. When Wang Ting saw Li Liangda and Li Rongqing, his head started hurting. All of them were gathered together again. "Uncle, weren't you in Jiangnan? Why are you here?" Xie Zhilong asked curiously. "I came for the auction." Xie Kuan smiled. Then, he turned to look at Pan Danwen and the others beside Xie Zhilong. He said, "Are these your classmates?" "Yes, they are all my schoolmates from Jiangnan University. However, this person isn't. He's the top scholar of the Donghai University martial arts exam this year. He looks down on normal students like us." Xie Zhilong introduced Pan Danwen and his friends before looking at Wang Teng mockingly. "Oh, the top scholar of the Donghai martial arts exam," Xie Kuan sized up Wang Teng. Then, he turned and asked Li Liangda, "Is this the Wang Teng you mentioned?" "It's him." Before Li Liangda could open his mouth, Li Rongqing had already answered hurriedly. This martial warrior knew his father, so he would definitely stand on their side. Also, Li Rongqing could tell that there was contempt in his tone when he talked about Wang Teng. He might be able to make Wang Teng suffer a little. Li Rongqing was delighted to see that. "Wang Teng, this Mr. Xie is a 3-star soldier-level martial warrior. Don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you've become a martial warrior. Compared to Mr. Xie, a 1-star martial warrior is nothing. Don't be proud." Li Rongqing was like the fox that assumed the majesty of the tiger. 3-star soldier-level martial warrior. Pan Danwen and the other students looked at Xie Kuan in astonishment. He, my uncle has been a 3-star soldier-level martial warrior for many years. Normal 3-star soldier-level martial warriors can't be compared with him, Xie Zhilong boasted proudly. A 3-star soldier-level martial warrior isn't much. There are many powerful and respectable people in this place. I'm just in the lowest rung. Xie Kuan pretended to be humble. However, in his heart, he was proud and enjoyed the attention he was getting from everyone. He looked at Wang Ting calmly and asked, "I've heard about your grudge with Li Rongqing. You used some method to force him to leave the martial arts exam because you wanted to take revenge on him. I wonder if this is true." Pan Danwen and the other students from Jiangnan University looked at Wang Ting in unplanned unison when they heard this. They threw him a look of contempt. Owing to what happened just now, their impression of Wang Ting was already bad. When they heard this inside story, they detested him even more. That's impossible. Wang Ting is not that kind of person, Shu Hui shouted without thinking. Shu Hui, it's impossible to judge a man's heart from his face. How do you know that he's not that kind of person? Xie Zhilong said. Li Rongcheng told you that, right? Wang Ting glanced at everyone. He especially paused when he glanced at Xie Zhilong, Li Liangda, and Li Rongcheng before he said this. He wasn't anxious even when he was misunderstood by other people. It doesn't matter who said it. You can't hide the truth. You are so young but already so evil. If you become a higher-class martial warrior in the future, you will be a huge scum of society. Xie Kuan placed his hands behind his back and said, Who are you? I don't think I know you. Even if I'm evil, what does it have to do with you? Why did you run over and say this nonsense to me? Who gave you the authority to do that? Wang Ting looked at Xie Kuan indifferently. You, Xie Kuan choked on his words, and his face turned green. It might be either anger or frustration. At first, he thought that with his ability as a 3-star soldier-level martial warrior, Wang Ting wouldn't dare to talk back to him. He would definitely listen to his lecture obediently. Unexpectedly, Wang Ting wasn't scared of offending him. The moment he opened his mouth, he didn't give him any face and humiliated him right in front of everyone. At this moment, he really wanted to slap Wang Ting to death. Unfortunately, this was the venue of a grand auction hosted by the Bangda auction house. He wouldn't dare to create any trouble. Wang Ting, do you know that you should respect your elders? My uncle is doing this for your sake, but you just berated him. You don't deserve to be the top scholar of the martial arts exam, Xie Zhilong shouted angrily. Chapter 131. A good person will be safe all his life. Are you questioning the authority of the martial arts exam? Wang Ting found it a little funny. The two people in front of him were indeed from the same family. Their attitude was exactly the same. One of them ran over without any reason and started lecturing him without distinguishing truth and false. The other scolded him and even dared to question the martial arts exam. Was the martial arts exam something a normal university student like him could question carelessly? These two were both proud and obsessed with themselves. So what if I question it? The top scholar of the university entrance exam should be someone with good character and ability. You! What is your worth? Said Xie Zhilong with disdain. Enough. Xie Zhilong, you're going overboard. Shu Hui couldn't help but stand up and came in front of Wang Ting. She never expected this meeting to end with an argument. Wang Ting was in a tricky position. He might get into big trouble because of this. Me? Overboard? Wang Ting humiliated my uncle just now. Isn't he the one who went too far? Xie Zhilong got even more furious when he saw Shu Hui speaking up for Wang Ting. Zhilong, stop talking. There's nothing to say to an evil person like him. As for your schoolmate, you should stay away from her. Birds of a feather flock together. Xie Kuan glanced at Shu Hui. He shook his head and then said to Wang Ting, Wang Ting, take care of yourself. I hope that you won't regret your rebuttal after you step out of this door later. Am I right to say that you're threatening my young teammate? At this moment, a fierce voice suddenly came from the crowd. A few figures with powerful auras walked over and stopped beside Wang Ting. Lin Zhon smiled and said, You little fellow, you were hiding her and eating food. No wonder we couldn't find you. You are the ones late. I couldn't wait any longer, so I sat down to eat something to pass the time, Wang Ting said with frustration. Xie Kun's expression changed when he saw Lin Zhon and the others. Tiger Warrior Team, Lin Zhon, Xie Kuan, HMPH, were old acquaintances. Come, tell me, were you threatening my young teammate here a moment ago? Lin Zhon glared at Xie Kuan and sneered. What kind of joke is this? Wang Ting is just a high school graduate. How can he be your team member? Lin Zhon, don't seek trouble out of anything. Do you think I'm scared of you? Replied Xie Kuan. He appeared tough on the surface, but in his heart, he was scared. You better believe me. The principal of our Jisin martial house personally placed Wang Ting in our team, Lin Zhon replied. The Jisin martial house principal did it personally? Xie Kuan was flabbergasted. Wang Ting was able to catch the attention of Jisin martial house's principal. That meant that he wasn't someone he could touch if he wanted to. Xie Kuan felt his head spinning. Why did he offend Wang Ting? He was now caught between a rock and a hard place. So what? I just wanted to remind him to be a good person and don't provoke others. If he did, he'd be the one regretting it in the future. Xie Kuan remained stubborn. I don't think that's what you said just now. Lin Zhon scoffed. Wang Ting, what happened just now? Why did this old fellow come and offend you? Tell us everything. We will stand up for you. A dangerous glint appeared in Liu Yang's eyes as she patted Wang Ting's shoulder. Wang Ting smiled and explained the happenings to them. After hearing his story, the faces of the members of the Tiger Warrior team turned cold. They looked at Xie Kuan indignantly. Old fellow, how dare you reprimand him before understanding the truth? I think that you're going senile because of your age, Lin Zhon said furiously. When Xie Kuan heard Wang Ting explaining the situation, he immediately had a bad premonition. He had listened to a one-sided story and believed it. He actually made such a newbie mistake. He glared at Li Liangda and Li Rongqing. In his heart, he hated these two people. Li Liangda and Li Rongqing turned pale in fright. If Lin Zhon and his team members hadn't appeared, Wang Ting wouldn't have been able to explain himself. Even if he told the truth, Xie Kuan would definitely leave the mistake uncorrected. They could just spend more money to appease Xie Kuan after this issue ended. Xie Kuan would get the money and they their revenge. It was a win-win situation. However, no one expected Wang Ting to be a member of the Tiger Warrior team. Looking at Xie Kuan's expression, they knew that this team wasn't easy to deal with. The entire situation took a huge turn. They had a taste of their own medicine. Li Liangda felt bitter in his mouth. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have cooperated with his useless son and framed Wang Ting. They didn't know how to end this scene now. Lin Zhon, what happened today is my fault, Xie Kuan gritted his teeth and said. Are you planning to end the matter with a single apology? Lin Zhon mocked. What do you want? Xie Kuan was filled with frustration. However, he couldn't vent it out. He was in the wrong this time, and he couldn't beat Lin Zhon in a fight. He couldn't afford to offend the Tiger Warrior team either. It wouldn't bring him any advantages. Apologize. Apologize to Wang Ting, Lin Zhon said. You can also compensate for the damage you did to me mentally, Wang Ting interrupted. His teammates' expressions turned strange at once. Cough, that's right, you need to make some mental damage compensation. Lin Zhon coughed awkwardly. This is an extortion. Xie Kuan glared at them with wide eyes and shouted angrily. You can understand it this way too. Lin Zhon nodded and agreed. Xie Kuan's face alternated between green and white. He made one final effort. We're at the Bangda auction house. If I don't give in to you, what can you do to me? We can't do anything to you now, but it's a different story once we step outside. Lin Zhon was nonchalant. Fine, I give in. These are 30 energy stones. This is my compensation for you. Xie Kuan was trembling in anger as he threw a bag of energy stones at Wang Ting. This is too little, only 30. Are 3-star martial warriors also poor? Wang Ting muttered. Too little. You need to give 50 more energy stones. Lin Zhon wanted to say 20 energy stones at first, but when he saw Wang Ting raising 5 fingers secretly, he immediately changed his words. 50. Why don't you go and rob someone? Xie Kuan exclaimed in shock. I heard what you said. If we snatch from you later, it might not be 50 stones anymore, Lin Zhon replied. Xie Kuan felt the blood rising up his throat. He almost vomited a mouth of blood. He forcefully bore with it and took out another bag. After counting 50 stones with trembling hands, he passed them to Wang Ting. Then, he left without any hesitation. He was afraid that if he stayed any longer, he would die from anger. Of course, before he left, he didn't forget to glare at Li Liangda and his son. This matter hadn't ended. Mr. Xie is really a good person. Good person, see you. A good person will be safe all his life. Wang Ting waved his hand. Xie Kuan staggered and almost fell to the ground. He instantly quickened his pace and squeezed into the crowd. Lin Zhon and his teammates laughed uncontrollably. This brat was really evil. Uncle, wait for me. Xie Zhilong didn't have the face to stay any longer. He didn't even dare to look at Wang Teng again. Instead, he chased after his uncle hurriedly. Li Liangda and Li Rongcheng also escaped when no one was looking at them. This, Xu Hui, Pan Danwen, and the other students were dumbfounded. The story reversed too quickly. Before they could react, everything had already ended. They never expected Wang Ting's friends to be the team members of a 3-star soldier-level martial warrior elite team. Even Xie Kuan didn't dare to offend them and could only run away disheveled. Especially Xu Hui. She felt as though this was the first time she knew Wang Ting. She sized him up repeatedly. Changes were seen through the people around you. Wang Ting's change was too huge. It was already astonishing when he became the top scholar of the martial arts exam as a martial warrior. Now, he had already integrated into the martial warriors' circle at such a young age. Even his friends were 3-star soldier-level martial warriors. She then thought of herself. She was a university student who barely managed to become a martial warrior after she entered university. Now, she was still waiting for the school's arrangement to head to the Xingwu continent. On the other hand, Wang Ting had joined a martial warriors team and most likely gone to the Xingwu continent already. He had experienced life and death struggles. Compared to him, they were the newbies. Pan Danwen and the other students had obviously thought about this too. They recalled what they said a while ago and felt exceptionally ashamed. It was too embarrassing. Chapter 132, Singles Like You. Xu Hui's seniors felt extremely awkward now. However, they couldn't leave directly like Xie Zhilong. It would be rude if they did that. Fortunately, they didn't say anything overboard just now. Xie Zhilong had already offended Xu Hui, so there was no point for him to stay any longer. Wang Ting, I'm sorry for what happened just now. At this moment, Pan Danwen stood out voluntarily and apologized for what happened a moment ago. There's no need for you to apologize. It has nothing to do with you. Wang Ting waved his hand. It's almost time. The auction is about to start. We'll go up first. The manager of Bangda arranged a private room for us, Lin Zhon said. Sure. Wang Ting nodded. He said to Xu Hui, I'll go up with my teammates first. Please carry on. Then, he smiled and chatted happily with Lin Zhon and his teammates as he walked up the second floor. Pan Danwen and her schoolmates were shocked. Bangda Auction House actually arranged a private room for Wang Ting and his teammates. Mind you, the auction today was a large-scale and grand one. Only the real influential and powerful figures had the right to stay in a private room. It looked like Xu Hui's friend and his martial warrior friends had something they excelled in. If not, how could they receive such distinguished treatment? Xu Hui bit her lips and looked at Wang Ting's back view. She felt a little depressed for some reason, as if there was an estrangement between them after she came back. Wang Ting was pushing her away secretly. Wang Teng and his teammates arrived at a small private room on the second floor. Yang Jinming leaned over and sniggered. Little brat, your luck in ladies is not bad. That childhood friend of yours is very pretty. Haha, Wang Ting is so handsome. He must have many beauties around him. Lin Zhon laughed loudly. Are you all envious? You won't understand it, though. This is a problem for me, Wang Ting said helplessly. Why are you pretending? Lin Zhon and Yang Jinming rolled their eyes. Sigh, as expected. Singles like you won't understand. Wang Ting shook his head and sighed. Singles. Yang Jinming and Lin Zhon froze on the spot. Their brittle hearts seemed to have received a huge stimulation. Fut tilde ha ha ha. Liu Yang and Yang Jinyu couldn't control their laughter. They tittered and then burst out laughing. The damage Yang Jinming and Lin Zhon received increased exponentially. You're so hurtful. They glared at Wang Teng and gritted their teeth. Little brother Wang Teng, ignore these two single men. Do you mind having a close lady friend like me? Liu Yang pushed the two people away in disdain and winked seductively at Wang Teng. Sister, I surrender. Wang Teng pretended to be frightened and raised his hands. This time, it was Liu Yang's turn to feel frustrated. She rolled her eyes and said, "Am I so scary? Do you think I'm some dreadful monster? My mom says that beautiful women are all dangerous. I need to stay far away from them." Liu Yang didn't know whether she should laugh or be angry when she heard Wang Teng's seemingly humble words. She complained, glib-tongued. A few minutes later, the voice of the auction's host came from below. "Thanks, everyone, for coming today. Thank you for your trust towards our Bangda auction house. It was an extremely formal opening." Then, the host went right to the main topic and started the auction. This is the first auction item today. It's a Dan medicine made by Alchemist Sun, 3 Flames Pattern Dan. The moment the host finished speaking, low murmurs were heard below. Alchemist Sun, 3 Flames Pattern Dan. Could it be that 5th rank alchemist? It must be. Which other alchemist with the surname Sun is able to make the 3 Flames Pattern Dan? The auctioneer smiled slightly when he heard the commotion caused by the first item. He continued speaking, "Everyone guessed right. This 3 Flames Pattern Dan is indeed made by the 5th rank alchemist. As for its effects, I'm sure many people know it already, but for the sake of those who don't care much about Dan medicines, let me give a short introduction. This 3 Flames Pattern Dan is a 3rd rank Dan medicine. It can help a fire element martial warrior to break through a 3-star or 4-star bottleneck. That means that this 3 Flames Pattern Dan is highly beneficial to martial warriors who have been stuck at the 3-star soldier level for a long time and can't advance. This 3 Flames Pattern Dan is the hardest Dan medicine to make among all the 3rd rank spiritual Dan. Only a 5th rank alchemist like Alchemist Sun has a high probability of success when making it. Also, it's a 3 pattern quality Dan. Its medicinal properties are extremely good. It has been appraised by the highest rank professionals in this field, so there's definitely no problem with it. You won't have anything to worry about. In the private room, Lin Zhon's gaze turned envious when he heard the effects of this 3 Flames Pattern Dan sigh. "Unfortunately, it's only effective for fire element martial warriors," he said with pity. Liu Yang noticed Wang's puzzled expression, so she explained, "Leader has been stuck at the peak of 3-star soldier level for a long time. If he can use some help from a similar spiritual Dan, he will be able to advance to 4-star soon. Once we have a 4-star martial warrior in our team, we will be able to explore the outermost section of the middle circle of the Dark Mist Forest. Although it's more dangerous, there will be more gains. Our team can only become stronger if we have ample resources." Wang Teng nodded. But, he heard Lin Zhon giving a forceful laugh and saying, "It's not that simple. 1-star to 3-star are all primary rank martial warriors. 4-star to 6-star is considered middle rank, while 7-star to 9-star are advanced rank martial warriors. Every rank has its bottleneck. If your talent and luck aren't enough, it will be tough for you to achieve a breakthrough." This was Wang Ting's first time hearing this. He couldn't help but think of his situation. Since he relied on collecting attributes, would he encounter this bottleneck too? "Alright, everyone, the starting bid of the 3 Flames Pattern Dan is 30 million. You can start bidding." The auctioneer's voice echoed in the entire venue through the speakers. After a second of silence, someone shouted a figure. 31 million. 33 million. There were many fire element martial warriors at the scene. Whether they were at the bottleneck or not, as long as they had the money, they participated in the bidding. The minimum markup was 1 million. At the start, everyone was still at the probing stage. Towards the end, the bidding got heated, and the price climbed higher and higher. Within a few seconds, it had already reached 58 million. There are many fire element martial warriors here today. Yang Jinming exclaimed in the private room. That might not be true. These people could be buying for others, Lin Zhon said. The bidding continued for some time. Finally, the voices grew lesser. Everyone had a price for every item. If this price was exceeded, they would feel that it wasn't worth it anymore. 76 million. 76 million. Are there any more bidders? No one. Final call. Are there any more bidders? Okay, 76 million. The 3 Flames Pattern Dan belongs to this gentleman. The auctioneer shouted 3 times at the end, but no one made a bid. Then, he knocked his hammer, and the 3 flames pattern Dan landed in the hands of a middle-aged gentleman. It was so easy to make money with spiritual Dan. One small spiritual Dan cost 76 million. Alchemists must all be wealthy people. Wang Teng couldn't help but remember the smithery skill he had picked up from Lu Zixing. Was he able to pick up alchemy too? And if he could? After his alchemy skill hit a certain level, he would make thousands of spiritual Dan. He wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. Next, the second item is, the auction continued. Wang Teng and his teammates didn't participate in the auction. The first item was already sold at 76 million. It was easy to imagine how expensive the items behind were. They had some savings, but this was a grand auction. They would probably reach their limit after bidding for 1 or 2 items. Before they met an item they really liked, they wouldn't act recklessly. Chapter 133, Accident at the auction. The auction carried on enthusiastically, broadening Wang Teng's horizons. He saw all kinds of strange items, and the people below scrambled for them like a flock of ducks. Each bid was higher than the previous one. He finally understood what wealth really meant. As compared to these people, he was just a poor fellow. But, until now, none of the people in the private rooms had called a bid. The items at the front didn't seem to garner their attention. Lin Zhon and his teammates bid a few times, but the prices shouted by the people after them scared them away. Damn it, all of them were so vicious. If they wanted to get an item, they would need to empty their pockets. Before this, they still thought that they could get 1 or 2 items, but now, it seemed that they had overestimated themselves. There are so many rich people in the world, but I'm not one of them, Yang Jinming mocked himself as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Actually, as compared to a normal person, martial warriors like them were already extremely wealthy. However, only they knew that their money came and left twice as fast. They needed to buy weapons, scriptures, battle techniques, and many other things. All of these were really expensive, so the money only passed through their pockets and left immediately thereafter. It's our turn, Lin Zhon suddenly said. As expected, the auctioneer below said, I'm sure that many people will be interested in the next auction item. The seller just came back with it from the Xingwu continent and managed to catch our grand auction. Alright, I shall not tease you anymore. The 7th last auction item, the star bone of the 3-star wind element star beast, single horn Deng Long. The moment he finished speaking, a commotion arose below. Star bone. The 7th last item is a star bone. What's more, it's the star bone of the 3-star star beast, single horn Deng Long. That's definitely a good item. We must get it. H, don't even think of fighting with me. The star bone is mine. In an instant, the atmosphere was lit. Even the people in the private rooms were attracted. Some were already preparing to act. Star bones were rare, and they had all kinds of special abilities. If you could add a piece of star bone into your weapon or battle armor while forging it, it would definitely increase the quality by many folds. It would be different from a standard weapon or battle armor, too, because it had a special ability. To a martial warrior, what was more attractive than this? Let's not waste any time. The starting bid of this star bone is 500 million. Each bid must be no less than 10 million. The bidding starts now. On the high platform, a beauty in a cheongsam carried a tray in her hand. A crystal-clear bone laid on the tray and glimmered with green rays under the lights. The patterns on its surface were enchanting, mesmerizing the people below the stage. Their gazes turned even more intense. 550 million. A shout was heard. The moment the bidding started, the price rose by 50 million. Unfortunately, it was impossible to scare other bidders away with this method. Many people were determined to get this star bone. 560 million. 600 million. Oh my god. These people are crazy. Wang Ting was astounded. However, the crazier they were, the happier Wang Ting and his teammates were. This was all money. It's time for us to hit the jackpot. Lin Zhon clenched his fist and said excitedly. That's right. This star bone can at least go up to 1 billion. That means that each of us here will get 150 million. This is 5 trips in one, Liu Yang said with delight. The bidding war was still ongoing. The price had risen to 950 million, but the excitement of the bidders hadn't subsided at all. 2 billion. Suddenly, a calm voice came from a private room on the left side of the second floor. The voice had been processed, so no one knew who it was. The bidding below instantly quietened down. 2 billion. This person added 250 million in one bid. Normally, 1 billion was a segregation point. Many people would beat a retreat here. Now that the price had risen to 2 billion, most people didn't even bother struggling. They just gave up. Also, everyone present knew that the people in the private rooms weren't people they could offend. If they continued bidding, they might provoke them. Thus, these people weren't willing to do it unless extremely necessary. 3 billion. A voice came from another private room. Another 100 million was added to the price. The people below were dead silent. All of them shook their heads and had disappointment on their faces. They could only watch the people in the private rooms fighting now. 5 billion. 6 billion. There was no exchange of threats, only the battle of price. The higher bidder would get the item. Wang Teng exchanged glances with his teammates. Things were getting a little frightening. It was almost double their estimated selling price. 2 billion. The person in room 8, who was the first to open his mouth and bid, seemed determined to get the starbone. He pushed the price to 2 billion in the end. The other people remained silent. No one opened their mouths again. 2 billion. This starbone belongs to the VIP guest in room 8. The auctioneer knocked his hammer. The final decision was made. Lin Zhon and his teammates let out a long breath. They had witnessed the price rising with their eyes. It was a little too exciting. Damn it, that person just took out 2 billion so easily. His voice didn't even change when he said that. Impressive. Lin Zhon couldn't help but curse. Haha, we're rich now. Yang Jinming was delighted. Split the money. Split the money. Liu Yang's eyes were glistening brightly. She wished that she could take the money immediately and go on a shopping spree. Unexpectedly, Yang Jinyu was the calmest. She smiled happily as she watched everyone's reaction from the side. She said to Liu Yang, "Sister Liu Yang, after the money is handed to us, let's go shopping. I haven't gone shopping in a long time." "That's right, shopping. Let's buy some clothes and makeup. I want to splurge for once." Liu Yang nodded furiously. Ever since she became a martial warrior, she had been sitting on the gates of hell all the time. She didn't care much about her hobbies in the past anymore. Now that Yang Jinyu mentioned it, along with the stimulation of money, she seemed to have found the feeling of shopping crazily again. Wang Teng smiled gently. His gaze landed on the next item up for auction. The last few items were undoubtedly more precious and rarer than the previous ones. There was full-body battle armor, an advanced rank scripture, weapons, and extremely rare medicinal herbs and ores. The people below could only keep quiet and watch. This battle belonged to the people in the private rooms. The gains of all the auction items today were more than 80 billion. Especially the last few items. The moment they shouted their bids, it was more than 10 billion. Terrifying. In a blink of an eye, it was time for the last auction item. The auctioneer couldn't control the smile on his face anymore. The auction today was a great success, and the gains had exceeded his expectations. Now, it was time to take things up a notch. The auctioneer was confident of this item. The bidders would only get crazier. "Everyone, the last item for our auction today," boom. The moment the auctioneer started speaking, a huge explosion was heard. The hall started shaking violently, and broken fragments fell from the ceiling. What is happening? The people below were in a frenzy. The martial warriors quickly stood up and became alert. Wang Teng and his teammates' expressions changed slightly. They exchanged glances with one another and took out their weapons, staring in the direction the explosion came from. Chapter 134, Untitled Long Live Zhunli. It's the evil warriors from the Zhonli clan. Be careful. A loud shout was heard from outside the building, the voice penetrating Bangda auction house's building. This must be the voice of a martial warrior. Activate the rune array. Hurry. Boom. The moment the person said this, a loud explosion followed. The building was collapsing and shaking. Everyone in the auction hall was flabbergasted. It's the evil clansman from Zhonli clan. Hurry, leave the building. The building is about to collapse. The rune array of Bangda auction house isn't able to withstand the attack. The rune array was created by runes, and it was mainly used for defense. Everyone rushed out of the building. Some martial warrior jumped out of the window, but cries of agony were heard directly after that. Those that hadn't jumped felt their eyebrows trembling. They immediately changed their directions of escape. Some dashed down the building, while others ran up to the roof. Zhonli clan? Wang Teng looked at the people running for their lives and felt a sense of seriousness. At the same time, he was puzzled. Can anyone tell me what on earth is the Zhonli clan? Let's leave quickly. Lin Zhon's expression was stern. There was even hatred on his face as he gritted his teeth and rushed downstairs. We will leave from the side of the building. Liu Yang and the other team members knew how to cooperate with each other after a long period of interaction. They followed Lin Zhon without any hesitation. Wang Teng didn't know what was happening. However, it was an emergency, so he could only follow them without having the time to ask anything. Many people from the private rooms around them had dashed out too. At the moment, they could care less about hiding their identities. Their expressions were cold. They hated these Zhonli clansmen. Boom. Ha ha ha, destroy it. Kill all the stupid civilians that disobey the creed of our Zhonli clan. Crazy peals of laughter were heard all around them amidst the sounds of explosions. How dare you? Some powerful people from Bangda auction house or some of the important figures that participated in the auction acted in anger. This bunch of maniacs. Lin Zhon cursed. He found a window at the corner. There were piles of rubbish below, and no one was in the surroundings. Let's go down from here. He took the lead and jumped down. Liu Yang and the other team members also jumped without thinking. As 3-star soldier-level martial warriors, jumping down from the 8th floor was a piece of cake for them. Also, there were areas they could use as leverage in this steel building. When Wang Ting jumped down, he activated his wind force, and it formed a whirlpool around him. It slowed down the force of gravity. Wang Ting flew down in a single leap, landing lightly on the ground. The rest of his team members were surprised. They weren't able to jump down so casually. However, this was obviously not the time to think about this. Just as they were preparing to leave, a few people dashed out from the corner and saw them. They shouted immediately, "Someone is trying to escape. Kill them." While shouting, they had already started running towards Lin Zhon and his team members. Their crazy expressions made them seem a little like mental patients. Everyone, looks like we can't end this peacefully. Lin Zhon spoke in a calm tone as he stretched his neck and raised his hand. He took his battle axes from his back and stood in front of Wang Ting and the rest of his teammates. The others took out their weapons too. No one was afraid of a battle. Let's fight then. Liu Yang carried her heavy machine gun on her shoulder and spoke in an indifferent tone. She looked heroic. Wang Ting shook his head. He wondered if his luck was a little too bad, as he always met all sorts of trouble for no reason. He slowly wore his boxing gloves and took out his battle sword. When they saw Lin Zhon and his teammates standing in front of them without any intention of hiding, the people from Zhonli clan immediately gave a sinister look. Stupid people, all of you deserve to die. The person in front held his battle blade and congregated a ray of fiery red glow around it. He raised his blade towards the sky and slashed it at Lin Zhon. Disperse! Lin Zhon shouted. He crossed his battle axes, and a golden glow exploded from them. He blocked this fierce blade attack. Clang! Your strength is not bad, but it's not enough. A smile of contempt appeared at the corner of Lin Zhon's mouth. He stomped his feet on the ground and released a bolt of powerful energy. The ground below cracked, and he sprung towards his enemy. The person opposite him got angered by his attitude. The crazy look in his eyes got stronger as he smiled like a maniac and said, "Come and test my power then." Liu Yang, Yang Jinming, and the rest of the team had already spread out. They were fighting with the other clansmen of the Zhonli clan. "Wang Ting, cover me." Liu Yang swept her enemies with the heavy machine gun in her hand. Force was attached to every single alloy bullet as they poured out of the muzzle. The speed was frightening. The bullets seemed to have torn the air before appearing in front of her enemies. The horse-faced young man opposite them had a change of expression. He moved his body and evaded the trajectory of the bullets beforehand. Then, he dashed towards Liu Yang. He wasn't stupid. He knew that Liu Yang was a big threat, so he needed to take care of her first. But Wang Ting wouldn't just stand still and not do anything. He shifted his body and blocked the horse-faced young man. "Die." The horse-faced young man glared at him with a vicious expression. He slashed the battle sword in his hand at Wang Ting. A blue glimmer flashed across the sword's sharp blade. The other party directly employed his battle technique. The sword flew towards Wang Ting like a huge wave with a terrifying pressure. Wang Ting's expression changed. Force surged out of his body. He didn't have the time or effort to hide his skills anymore. He used his most powerful fire force directly. Fire Kirin sword skill. Boom. The two forces collided head-on. Wang Ting had just become a 2-star martial warrior, so his fire force was nothing to the person in front of him. He was sent flying by the impact. 3-star soldier level. Blood dripped down from the corner of his mouth. Wang Ting's expression changed slightly. Just one exchange, and he was defeated. There was one level difference between them, yet it was a one-sided match. "You're just a 2-star martial warrior. Who gave you the courage?" The horse-faced young man scoffed. Just as he was about to follow up his victory with another attack, the sound of bullets tearing through the air was heard again. Bang, bang, bang. The horse-faced young man could only evade. He gritted his teeth, and his speed increased exponentially as he charged towards Liu Yang. "Your opponent is me." Wang Ting blocked him again. "You're overestimating yourself. Get out of the way." Anger flashed on the horse-faced young man's face. He was really infuriated by this 2-star soldier-level martial warrior. Wang Ting stuck to him like a plaster, refusing to let go. He waved his battle sword, and rays of sword light engulfed Wang Ting. This time, Wang Ting didn't receive the attack forcefully. Instead, he activated his footwork and dodged them one by one. How is that possible? The horse-faced young man was dumbfounded. This 2-star martial warrior was actually able to evade all his attacks. This little brat must have a certain footwork skill. However, with his ability, he won't be able to continue this for long. He might be able to evade 10 moves, but I don't believe that he can avoid 20 or 30 attacks. The horse-faced young man was ruthless. The speed of his right hand exploded as he waved his battle sword. He slashed and chopped everywhere. His speed was definitely impressive. Wang Ting was a little tired from dealing with the attacks. Actually, just using his basic footwork, he wouldn't be able to dodge the attacks from a 3-star martial warrior. However, he had picked up the steps of Gale in the past. The combination effects of this skill with the wind force were terrific. That was why he was barely able to withstand the attacks of this 3-star martial warrior. Also, he had spiritual power. When he couldn't evade the attack, he would use his spiritual power as a pushing force and help him to dodge the attack. If it was another 2-star martial warrior, he would probably have been killed by now. Even so, he was still in danger. Cold sweat appeared on his forehead as he shouted, "Sister, if you don't hurry up, you can only wait to collect my corpse." Chapter 135. Good old Wang, who couldn't bear to kill a chicken. Liu Yang stared at the horseface young man without blinking. She occasionally pulled the trigger, and an alloy bullet with a fiery red tail would shoot out. Unfortunately, Wang Ting was fighting with the other party, so their positions kept changing. It was hard to predict their movements. Wang Ting quickly realized this point. This time, while dodging, he purposely moved away from his opponent. Liu Yang instantly grabbed this opportunity and fired a single shot. Bang! The evil clansman couldn't evade in time. A bloody flower bloomed on his thigh. Ah! The martial warrior's body might be strong, but this bullet had heavily injured his thigh. He couldn't help but cry out in pain. "I want you to die." He had gone a little mad. At the brink of death, he pounced towards Wang Ting and attempted to kill this irritating little brat first. "Be careful." Liu Yang's expression changed slightly as she reminded him. Bang, bang, bang. She fired a few shots at the same time to prevent the other party from moving. F***K, do you think I'm made of mud? Wang Ting glared at him. He didn't retreat. Instead, he stepped forward, and fire force poured out of his body. It formed a sword glow as he slashed it out. No one noticed a hint of sinister black mist merging in this fiery red sword glow. The horse-faced young man's expression was distorted, and he hurriedly raised his sword. The light on the sword glimmered. In his final moments, he released his entire power as a 3-star soldier-level martial warrior. No matter what, there was a difference between their strengths. When their swords collided, Wang Ting was forced to take a few steps back again. This time, he was prepared. He used his spiritual power to form a pushing force behind him and cushioned his body. The horse-faced young man wanted to attack again, but his body suddenly froze in mid-air. His expression changed entirely. "You used poison," the horse-faced young man shouted, and the force around his body started flashing. He wanted to expel the poison. However, the poison seemed to have stuck to his bone. It was hard to disperse it. Instead, it started to corrode his force. The circulation of the force slowed down because of this, and he was unable to move. The poison of the demon lotus poison body was so frightening. Kill. Wang Ting saw this opportunity and immediately charged towards his opponent. The horse-faced young man got frightened. He wanted to retreat, but under the influence of the intense poison, his actions slowed down by half a beat. Slash. The sword directly slashed across his chest and almost chopped him in half. The horse-faced young man opened his eyes wide. It was obvious that he couldn't live anymore. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Liu Yang was dumbstruck. She even forgot to pull the trigger. The horseface evil clansman, the 3-star soldier-level martial warrior, was killed by Wang Ting. Wasn't he at a disadvantage all this while? Why did he suddenly become so powerful? Was this child pretending to be weak all along? You're really vicious. Liu Yang came forward and looked at the chest of the horseface young man that was cut open. She was slightly shocked. I don't want to do it, either. I, Wang Ting, am a kind-hearted person. Normally, I can't even bear to kill a chicken. Other people even gave me a nickname, Good Old Wang, who couldn't bear to kill a chicken. Wang Ting had an amiable expression as he said sincerely, "Can you please believe me? Good old Wang who couldn't bear to kill a chicken?" Liu Yang gave a strange expression. "Do you think he'll believe you?" "Sigh, I want to be kind, but the situation doesn't allow me to." Wang Ting heaved a long sigh. Liu Yang. Why is his face so black? Liu Yang suddenly saw the face of the horseface evil clansman. Then, she remembered his shout just now and asked in surprise, "You know how to use poison?" "Hihi, I know a thing or two." Wang Ting smiled shyly. "You sinister little fellow." Liu Yang had a weird expression on her face. She immediately took 2 steps back, afraid that Wang Ting would suddenly launch an attack on her. "Hey, I only used it because I needed to kill my enemy. Why are you giving me that look?" Wang Ting asked. "Hihi, I'll go and help our leader. You can rest here for a moment." Liu Yang ran away immediately. Wang Ting shook his head helplessly. His gaze landed on the attribute bubbles beside the horse-faced young man. He picked them up. Strength *20 Speed *15 Water Force *12 Intermediate Stage Water Talent *2 Folding Waves Sword Skill *1 F *K. Looking back at the life-threatening situation just now, everything was worth it. His strength and speed attributes had increased once again. In fact, they had been increasing continuously. Of course, the most important thing was the intermediate stage water talent. With this talent, Wang Ting was finally able to use his water force. Also, His water force jumped by 12 points. Now, he had 33 points of the water force. His battle ability got stronger again. He even received a dark-level middle-class sword skill, Folding Waves sword skill. That was right. The Folding Waves sword skill was a dark-level sword skill. Another dark-level sword skill. What a huge gain for Wang Ting. He didn't make any loss this time. The only unfortunate thing was, this fellow didn't drop any water element scriptures. Wang Ting gave a bitter smile. He was a little greedy and unsatisfied. He already had an abundance of gains, but he still wanted another scripture. Seriously. He shook his head. His gaze shifted to Lin Zhon and his other teammates. They were having a team battle. After the horse-faced evil clansman was killed, the battle power of both parties changed. Lin Zhon and others killed the other evil clansman really quickly. During this period, loud explosions kept ringing in the sky. It seemed that some people were having another battle. But Wang Teng and his teammates couldn't see it from their location. Looking at this commotion, Zhenli clan must have activated their 7-star soldier-level martial warrior. "We should leave quickly," Lin Zhon said with a serious expression. Everyone nodded. They prepared to leave from the small alley at the side. Wang Ting scanned his surroundings. He activated his spiritual power and collected all the attribute bubbles dropped by the dead evil clansmen as well as his teammates when they were fighting. Fire Force *15 Earth Force *10 Intermediate Stage Fire Talent *1 Metal Force *12 Wood Force *13 Water Force *8 Strength *40 Speed *32 Enlightenment *10 Intermediate Stage Fire Talent. Another intermediate stage talent. Wang Teng was beyond elated. Not only was it an intermediate stage fire talent, but it was also a fire element one. Mind you, the higher the talent, the stronger and better his control of his force. Now, his fire force had reached 2-star, and its size was growing. It was getting increasingly solidified too. If he didn't raise his talent in time, it would be harder to control his force in the future. The rest of the bubbles were forces, speed, and strength. Wang Ting felt that his battle power had increased exponentially all of a sudden. It felt good. The feeling of becoming stronger was too good. Finally, it was his enlightenment. After the evil clansmen were killed, they dropped 10 points of enlightenment attribute. Wang Teng's enlightenment had reached the spiritual realm stage, so normal enlightenment attributes could only increase his spiritual realm by a 10-to-1 ratio. 10 points of normal enlightenment meant 1 point of spiritual realm enlightenment. Enlightenment, spiritual realm, 1/100. Suddenly, his mind cleared, and all kinds of knowledge flashed through his mind. He found that he was able to practice the scriptures and battle techniques much faster ever since his enlightenment entered the spiritual realm stage. He didn't even need to rely on his blank attributes. Instead, he was able to increase the proficiency of his battle techniques and scriptures quickly by himself. Wang Teng understood the importance of enlightenment. If he was able to push his enlightenment to an extremely high stage, he might be able to cultivate a battle technique or a scripture until big achievement, or even perfected state. That would be heaven-defying. Chapter 136. The Motive of Zhenli Clan No. An unwilling voice of someone at the brink of death echoed in the sky. Boom. At the same time, a series of explosions were heard abruptly. What happened? Lin Zhon and his team members were preparing to retreat. They looked up at the sky with changed expressions. Ha ha ha, die. Everyone dies. Long live Zhenli. Crazy voices surrounded them. Mr. Wu. Mr. Wu is dead. Hurry up and leave. Even the 6-star Mr. Wu is dead. We are not their match, frantic voices sounded after that. A powerful martial warrior is dead. Lin Zhon exchanged glances with his teammates. They finally knew what happened. Let's leave. They immediately started running without any hesitation. However, some people escaped in their direction at this moment. The evil clansmen from Zhenli clan were on these people's tails. The scene was a mess. Damn it. Lin Zhon's expression changed. They had just taken care of a bunch of evil clansmen, and now another bunch came. They were so unlucky. No, Don't kill me. Cries of despair rang everywhere. The evil fanatics of the Zhonli clan had no compassion at all. It seemed that they had come here today to kill. They raised their blades and chopped the head of a youth who had fallen. It's Xu Hui and her friend. Wang Teng turned around. When he glanced at the people behind them, he found them a little familiar. However, upon seeing Xu Hui, he remembered that these were her senior brothers and sisters. They were in a disheveled state. They didn't have the arrogant expressions like they were the favored child of God anymore. Especially after the senior brother's head got chopped off, the other people turned pale with fright. They shivered uncontrollably, and some even froze on the spot in shock. These students were martial warriors groomed by their universities. How could they be so weak? Fortunately, not everyone was useless. 2 people beside Pang Danwen raised their weapons and started resisting. However, their abilities were lacking, and they didn't have much experience. They were forced to keep retreating by the evil clansmen. Xu Hui just became a martial warrior. She hadn't even learned any battle techniques, so she could only use her basic sword skill to fight with her enemies. She was not their match at all. Die! An evil clansman raised his blade and knocked Xu Hui's battle sword away. The power of his attack didn't subside as he slashed his sword down on her head. This was the first time Xu Hui was facing a life or death situation. The sharp blade kept expanding in her pupils, and she completely forgot to dodge. Actually, it was too late to dodge. The fear at the brink of death was too powerful. At this moment, fear, unwillingness, regret, all kinds of emotions pervaded her heart. Am I going to die? I'm still so young. This is so frightening. The feeling of death is terrifying. In an instant, all kinds of thoughts flashed through her mind. Go away. Suddenly, a cold shout broke her despairing thoughts. A sword light flashed past right beside her body. It was aimed at the Zhonli clan evil clansman in front of her. That evil clansman's expression changed. He wanted to defend himself, but it was too late. Slash. His head was chopped off in a single attack. His body froze on the spot as his head flew up. Fresh blood spurted out of his neck like a fountain. Then, he fell weakly. An eye for an eye. Just now, this evil clansman had chopped off the head of Xu Hui's senior brother. Now, he got his head chopped off too. This was how karma worked. Xu Hui looked at the red glimmer flashing past her eyes. Blood splattered on her face, which turned extremely white. She couldn't help but retch. Why are you stoning? Hurry up and run. A familiar voice sounded beside her ears. Then, she felt someone pulling her body and running forward. Wang Ting. Xu Hui was flabbergasted when she saw the figure in front of her. Wang Ting was the person who had saved her just now. This ability, even senior sister Pang Danwen couldn't be compared to him, right? When did Wang Ting become so powerful? Xu Hui was confused, but she knew that this wasn't the time to dwell on wandering thoughts. She hurriedly followed Wang Ting. The evil clansman attacking Pang Danwen and the other students started charging towards him once they saw Wang Ting kill their comrade. F***K. Wang Ting cursed. He pushed Xu Hui forward. Leave first. No way, I can't leave you behind, Xu Hui replied without thinking. Why do you want to stay back? To drag me down? Wang Ting said without any mercy. Then, he ignored her and started fighting with the evil clansman. Lin Zhon and his team members came to help him when they saw him getting surrounded. Senior sister, the evil clansmen are attracted by him. Let's leave quickly, the students beside Pang Danwen said hurriedly when the pressure around them vanished. No, they got surrounded because they are trying to help us. We can't abandon them, Pang Danwen said sternly. We can't beat these evil clansmen. Wang Ting and his friends are so powerful. We will just drag them down, someone said cowardly. I don't care. I'm not going. If you want to go, you can. I'll leave first. One of the students left without any hesitation. Pang Danwen and Xu Hui were so angry that they were trembling. They finally saw the true face of their friends. The people who remained hesitated for a moment before joining Pang Danwen in the fight. However, They had obviously underestimated the battle ability of Lin Zhon and his team members. Within a few seconds, these evil clansmen, who were not so powerful, got killed. "Let's go. Let's not waste any more time," Lin Zhon said. Wang Teng glanced at Pang Danwen and her friends and nodded. He said, "Let's go." The few of them went off in a hurry. They finally left this messy street. Unfortunately, they met the students who ran away just now. These people looked at them awkwardly before turning around and leaving quickly. Pang Danwen shook her head and sighed. "You should leave. My teammates and I have some things to do, so we won't be accompanying you," Wang Ting said to Xu Hui. "All right, be careful." Xu Hui opened her mouth, but this was all she could say. "Thank you for saving us just now." Pang Danwen thanked Wang Ting and his friends. She was really grateful. After parting with Xu Hui and her friends, Wang Teng and his teammates went to another high-rise building a distance away from Bangda Auction House. They then looked back in that direction from the roof. This time, Bangda Auction House suffered a huge loss. Lin Zhon sighed. "Fortunately, our starbone is already sold. To prevent accidents from happening, the auction house will pay and give the item on the spot, so the money is already in our hands. If not, we would have to bear an immense loss too," said Liu Yang. "Who are these people from the Zhenli clan?" Wang Teng asked. "A crazy bunch who claim they have gotten hold of Zhenli, which means the truth. They feel that other people are just stupid and ignorant." Yang Jinming sneered. The people who founded Zhenli clan had evil intentions from the start. They wanted to invade and enslave the Xingwu continent. They control their clansmen with their creed and brainwash them so that they can order them around, Liu Yang added. "Invade and enslave the Xingwu continent." Wang Ting was stunned by the grand motive of these fanatics. "It's unbelievable, right? That's why they are a bunch of maniacs," Lin Zhon said with contempt. What on earth are they thinking?" Wang Ting found it hard to understand. "What else?" "They feel that there is an abundance of resources in the Xingwu continent. They want to use this method to expand their influence to the Xingwu continent and plunder their resources. However, they should use their brains and think. If it was so simple, why would the countries maintain a peaceful relationship with the Xingwu continent? After all, these countries are always very aggressive," Lin Zhon said. Chapter 137, The Bubbles of a 7-Star Martial Warrior. While speaking, they were observing the situation of Bangda Auction House too. With the help of Lin Zhon and his teammates, Wang Teng finally understood what kind of people the Zhenli clan was made up of. No wonder they were called maniacs. Based on their actions, calling them maniacs was too kind. The building they were at had a wide field of vision, so they were able to see far ahead. From here, when Wang Ting gazed in the distance, he was able to see a few black dots occasionally colliding in the sky with his eyesight. Rumbling explosions followed in the air. They were walking in the air. 7-star soldier level martial warrior. When a martial warrior cultivated until the 5-star soldier level, they were able to congregate their force into a pair of wings behind their backs. It allowed them to fly freely in the air. 6-star soldier level martial warriors could do this too. As for 7-star martial warriors, they were able to directly walk in the air. They didn't need to rely on their force wings anymore. Those black dots fighting in mid-air must be 7-star martial warriors. The battle lasted for more than half an hour. The other powerful warriors from Donghai arrived and finally killed the martial warriors from the Zhenli clan. The remaining evil clansmen either got caught or escaped in disorder. No one knew which corner they were hiding in. This bunch of people was like the mice in the trench. When you wanted to find them, they were nowhere to be seen. However, they would always run out and wreak havoc from time to time. It was frustrating. Unfortunately, the attribute bubbles from the 6-star martial warrior had probably disappeared by now. Such a long time had passed. Wang Teng sighed in pity. Then, his eyes lit up. The attribute bubbles that the dead Zhenli clansman dropped must still be there. If he rushed over now, he might be able to pick them up in time. However, Lin Zhon and the other team members didn't want to interfere in this matter. The evil clansmen from the Zhenli clan might be hiding among the crowd. If they were seen by them, based on these people's crazy logic, the trouble they faced would be a calamity. Don't interfere in this matter. In fact, don't even have any interaction with this kind of evil clan. If not, it will be extremely troublesome and your families will be affected. They have no bottom line, Lin Zhon reminded them. Don't worry, leader. I won't poke my head in their matter, Wang Ting nodded and said. All right, the show is finished. Let's go back. All of us got hurt during this trip to the Xingwu continent, and it got worse after the battle just now. Damn it, this stupid bunch of evil clansmen. Go back and rest for some time. I'll inform everyone about the next trip to the Xingwu continent. Lin Zhon touched his chest in frustration as he cursed uncontrollably. He felt hatred and helplessness towards these evil clansmen. I will transfer the money we earned from the star bone to your accounts later. Besides healing your injuries, remember to cultivate and become stronger. Don't spend the money on useless things, especially you, Liu Yang and Yang Jinyu. You can shop, but don't overdo it. He persuaded the two ladies earnestly. Chimpage, I know. What a naggy man. Liu Yang and Yang Jinyu rolled their eyes and snorted. Yang Jinming laughed loudly. Wang Ting also gave a smile secretly. He didn't expect the rough-looking Lin Zhon to have this side to him. Everyone bade farewell to one another and left. Wang Ting thought for a moment and still decided to head to the Bangda auction house. The attribute bubbles of 7-star soldier-level martial warriors were hard to come by. He mustn't miss this chance. However, he bought a hat and a mask on his way there and concealed his face thoroughly before rushing to the auction house at the fastest speed. He didn't get too close. Instead, he maintained the furthest distance he could while still being able to use his spiritual power. He wasn't able to enter the vicinity of the auction house. After such a huge incident, the police, military, and many different factions had sealed off the crime scene. While Wang Ting was sauntering around the area, he met a few suspicious people. Brother, which branch are you from? A man who was also wearing a hat and a mask walked over and spoke to him in a low voice. Although Wang Ting was shocked, his mind spun furiously. He immediately glared at the person and said in a cold voice, "Which branch are you from? Do you know the rules? How dare you ask this question?" Yes, I was too reckless. I just entered the clan and have yet to learn the rules." The man laughed awkwardly. What kind of luck was this? He really met an evil clansman. All right, let's just carry on with our own business. Both of us are dressed like this. Don't you think that it's a little too conspicuous? Wang Ting barked. As expected of a senior clansman. You are so thoughtful. I'll be leaving first. See you at the abandoned warehouse in the southern suburbs at 8 p.m. The man disappeared without a trace after he finished speaking. Wang Ting. The abandoned warehouse in the southern suburbs. 8 p.m. He seemed to have gotten hold of the evil clansman's gathering location and time accidentally. What should he do? This is very urgent. I need an answer immediately. However, this was obviously not the time to think about this. He already got delayed by that person, so he had no time to waste anymore. He hurriedly looked for his attribute bubbles. Wang Ting circled the surroundings of the auction house and saw a few huge attribute bubbles just as he had expected. It's so huge. It must be the attribute bubbles of a powerful martial warrior. This is amazing. Wang Ting was elated. He immediately used his spiritual power to pull the bubbles over and picked them up. Advanced Stage Sword Skill Talent *1 Advanced Stage Sword Skill Talent. Wang Ting was ecstatic. It was an advanced stage talent. Talent was vital in martial arts cultivation. The higher the talent, the faster the cultivation speed would be. This was common knowledge. With this advanced stage sword skill talent, Wang Ting would be able to grasp all kinds of sword battle techniques faster. Also, with his spiritual realm enlightenment, the effects of his cultivation would be impressive. He would try it out once he got to his house. Sky Cremating Sword Skill *15 An elite class earth rank sword skill. Wang Ting was stunned. It was an earth rank sword skill. Was he dreaming? He didn't have the time to think too much, though. A human figure appeared in his mind, and he started practicing the sky cremating sword skill. There seemed to be a roaring flame spurting into the sky in Wang Ting's mind. One attack of the sword, and it was able to cremate the sky and boil the sea. The power was terrifying. After some time, Wang Ting regained his senses. Oh my god! This Earth-rank elite-class sword skill had 13 stances, and it was only one step away from a sky-rank battle technique. If he fully grasped the most powerful stance, the effects would be equivalent to a sky-rank battle technique. Even the first stance was able to unleash the power similar to that of a dark-level low-class battle technique. This was a huge gain. It was definitely a huge gain. He felt fortunate that he decided to come. If he missed these attribute bubbles, it wouldn't just be losing a few 100 million. He would be losing a few billion. As expected, the attribute bubbles dropped by powerful martial warriors were good stuff. This was a once-in-lifetime opportunity. Wang Ting felt lucky. He continued to pick up the remaining attribute bubbles. However, only force, strength, and speed attributes were left. Fire force *50 speed *35 strength *40 as expected of the attribute bubbles of 7-star martial warriors. Even the force they dropped had such a high value. There were 50 points of fire force attributes alone, and the strength and speed attributes were decent too. His combat power increased tremendously. Since there were no more attribute bubbles to pick up, Wang Ting turned around and left. Although he only stayed for a while, the people from the City Protection Bureau had already taken notice of him. The people from the City Protection Bureau chased after him, but they lost him in a small alley. One of them found a piece of paper stuck on the wall beside them. "Huh? What's written on it? Be careful." The other person reminded him. "It's all right. It's just a piece of paper." Though, he didn't touch the paper and just leaned close to look at the content. 8 p.m., the abandoned warehouse in the southern suburb. Evil clansmen gathering. The people exchanged glances with one another and turned serious. Is it true? Whether it's true or not, let's report it. We can't make a decision on this matter. Chapter 138. 3 years after 3 years on the way back, Wang Ting was in deep thought. What would the City Protection Bureau do when they received this piece of news? Should he go there to take a look tonight? If the people from the City Protection Bureau went, there would definitely be a battle. At that time, many attribute bubbles would drop. Should he join in the fun? But, he seemed to be looking for trouble by running to the gathering of the evil clansmen. When he reached his rented house in the university town, it was already 11 a.m. Wang Ting casually called for food delivery and ate his lunch. Then, he went to Master Lu's branch store. "Your shooting star spiral and brick," Lu Zixing said when he saw Wang Ting. But, when he mentioned the brick, he found it a little hard to open his mouth. He felt that it was a disgrace. Wang Ting smiled, refusing to comment. He quietly picked up the attribute bubbles in his surroundings. Smithery *8 the Lu hammering skill *6 he felt satisfied. Next, Wang Ting looked at the work desk Lu Zixing was pointing at and saw 2 items. One of them was the strange-looking shooting star spiral. The other was a golden brick that was giving off gold glimmers. It was extremely eye-catching. The shooting star spiral has reached the requirements of a 6-star high-class weapon. "It's better than I imagined," Lu Zixing said proudly. Wang Ting picked up the shooting star spiral and studied it carefully. He liked it so much that he couldn't bear to put it down. "Master Lu, your skills are really exceptional. You're flattering me by calling me Master Lu." Lu Zixing shook his head and continued. "As for this air brick, it has reached the requirements of a 5-star low-class weapon. However, I can only compress it and add some runes to it. If you have better materials in the future, you can merge them with this brick and remold it. You can be flexible with this brick." Wang Ting took the gold brick and looked at it closely. He weighed it in his hand and tested its feel. It felt extremely comfortable in his hand, like a part of his body. "I'm satisfied with these 2 items." As expected, it was the right decision to look for Master Lu, said Wang Ting. Lu Zixing was delighted to receive the compliment. At the same time, he felt proud too. He said, "Of course. Our master Lu brand is not just for show." Wang Ting paid for his items and left the shop. He wanted to hurry home to test the power of these two weapons. The university town. There were many universities in this area, for instance, Donghai Teaching University, Donghai Technology University, and even Donghai University. It was the summer break, so there weren't many students in school. Wang Ting found a small forest in one of the universities. He sneaked inside once he confirmed that there was no one around. This is a good place. Wang Ting passed through the small forest and found a small lake in front of him. There were fake mountain rocks beside the lake. His eyes lit up. He activated his spiritual power, and it surged out of his forehead. The shooting star spiral floated from his palm and turned into a flash of light. It swooshed into the forest as though it was alive and started flying back and forth. Then, it dived deep into the lake and split into 9 rays of light. It twirled and danced at high speed in the shadows of the lake, as though it was flying in the air without any resistance. This was the spiritual shadow talent of the starbone. It allowed the weapon to shuttle back and forth in the shadows, a perfect match for spiritual power. It could definitely catch his opponents off guard. Under the control of his spiritual power, the shooting star spiral leaped out of the water. At the same time, the 9 rays of light combined into one. "Go!" Wang Ting whispered. The shooting star spiral pierced right into the fake mountain rock. A hole appeared in the fake mountain rock without a sound. The shooting star spiral shot out from the other side. Wang Ting lifted his hand, and the shooting star spiral slowly landed on his palm. He let out a long sigh. He couldn't hide the excitement in his eyes. He took out the gold brick and used his spiritual power to control it as he threw it out. When the brick was about to smash into the fake mountain rock, the force on the surface of the gold brick merged into the brick. The runes on the gold brick flashed once, and the weight of the brick increased exponentially. Then, the brick collided with the fake mountain. Boom! The fake mountain shattered into fragments. Wang Ting burst into laughter. He wondered how good it would feel if he used this brick to smash someone. Also, with the help of his spiritual power, he would be able to accurately hit his opponent. What happened just now? I think I heard an explosion. A voice suddenly came from outside the forest. Let's go and take a look. It might be a student from the martial arts course damaging the school properties again. This bunch of little brats. They are so troublesome. Wang Ting felt a little guilty. He released his force and hurriedly swept the remnants of the fake mountain into the lake. Then, he moved his body swiftly and escaped in a flurry. When he reached home, Lin Zhon transferred the money to him. 2 billion. Minus the fees of the Bungda auction house, they had 8 billion left. Each of them got 300 million when they spilled it 6 ways. Everyone wanted to give Yang Fei half of the money, just as they had discussed beforehand. Yang Fei didn't accept it. Thus, they had no choice but to give up the idea and split the money evenly in the end. Anyway, even if they distributed it evenly, everyone would still get a sizable sum. With the money in hand, Wang Ting started splurging on the internal website of Jisin Martial House. He bought a battle uniform, a battle shield, and all the items he needed. His orders got delivered the next day. After that, Wang Ting didn't leave his house, starting a cultivation session at home. His enlightenment had reached the spiritual realm, so when he practiced his scriptures, his speed of cultivation and proficiency increased furiously. Then, he practiced the sky cremating sword skill. He tested how powerful this advanced stage sword skill talent was. In the courtyard of his rented house, Wang Ting held his battle sword and waved it furiously. Fire force rose from his battle sword and congregated into rays of red sword light. They were scorching and sharp. An hour later, he stopped. Holding his sword, Wang Ting stood still. Sky cremating sword skill, Foundation 18100. The sky cremating sword skill had increased from 15 points to 18 points on his attributes panel. The increase was astonishing. I can save more blank attributes to add to my enlightenment and talent. Wang Teng contemplated for a moment. He had already realized that the blank attributes he had didn't seem to be enough for him to use as the number of his battle techniques and scriptures increased. Hence, he needed to prioritize. It was obvious that enlightenment and talent were the foundation of everything. Once he raised these two attributes to an extremely high level, he wouldn't have to worry about the leveling up of his battle techniques and scriptures. The moment he sorted out his thoughts, Wang Teng poured all the blank attributes into his enlightenment. Then, he started practicing his battle techniques like a maniac. At night, in an abandoned warehouse in the southern suburbs. A bunch of suspicious-looking people was gathered in this abandoned warehouse. They looked like crazed fanatics, and they were discussing in low voices. There was no light, with the only source of illumination being white candles placed around the warehouse. The candles gave a dim orange glow. The evil clansmen really have a gathering here. The members of the City Protection Bureau were hiding in a certain corner at another side. They monitored the situation in the abandoned warehouse from afar using their binoculars. "Are they all here?" Another member of the City Protection Bureau beside him whispered. "They arrived a long time ago. They are lying in ambush around the warehouse." "That's good. There are so many evil clansmen. We will catch all of them today. Haha, this will be a huge deed of merit. I wonder who gave us that message. He's such a good person. I heard that it was someone suspicious, dressed like a clansman. Do you think he's a spy? You know, the 3 years after 3 years, 3 years after 3 years kind, one. Whoa, is he really a hidden boss? I think he's quite pitiful. But, he's really a good person." The good person hiding above the members of the City Protection Bureau felt speechless. 1. A famous quote from a Chinese spy movie. Chapter 139, Crazy about making pig heads. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing here? For a moment, Wang Teng suspected his own identity. Am I really a fellow evil clansman or just a spy? Phut. He hurriedly shook his head to throw this ridiculous thought out of his mind. To hell with being a spy. I don't want to do it for 3 years and 3 more years. It's very miserable. He stared at the people below him with a dangerous gaze. You are really free. How dare you create rumors about me? Do I need to find some things for them to do? As he thought about this, he used his spiritual power to control a rock. He threw it on the door of the warehouse where the evil clansmen were all gathered. A huge clang was heard. Who is it? The evil clansmen in the warehouse were like birds startled by the mere twang of a bowstring. A few of them rushed out of the warehouse and started looking around. F***K, who threw that rock? The members of the City Protection Bureau cursed. They shrunk back to prevent the evil clansmen from seeing them. Take a look around the warehouse. Let's make sure that nothing happens, one of the evil clansmen said. More than 10 evil clansmen dispersed and started searching their surroundings. Damn it, we can't hide anymore. Move. The members of the City Protection Bureau hiding in the dark helplessly made a decision. At first, they wanted to wait a little longer, but they didn't have the luxury anymore. They were in the dark while their enemies were standing in the light. The evil clansmen that came out to check things were taken care of in an instant. Then, the members of the City Protection Bureau lying in ambush started moving. They threw smoke bombs and tear shells into the warehouse together. What is this? Oh my God, we are exposed. Run. Most of the evil clansmen in the warehouse were martial disciples. They could hold their breaths for a short period or use their force to block the gas. However, since they were caught unawares, many of them still got affected. The members of the City Protection Bureau wore protective masks and charged into the warehouse. Next, gunshots resounded in the silent surroundings. This is an unexpected move. Wang Teng was still hiding in a corner. As he observed the actions of the City Protection Bureau, he felt like watching a police and thief movie. This was an eye-opener. The evil clansmen wouldn't sit and wait to die. They started resisting. Immediately, explosions, cries of agony, and shouts were heard from the warehouse. TSK, 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 it sounds intense. Wang Ting watched the show from outside as he waited to collect attribute bubbles. Boom! The abandoned warehouse was already in poor shape. Now, it started crumbling. After all, there were a bunch of martial warriors fighting inside. The destructive power of 3-star and above martial warriors was very impressive. The warehouse couldn't withstand the beating anymore and collapsed. Multiple figures flew out of the warehouse, changing the battle arena to outside. Some evil clansmen wanted to escape in the mess, but unfortunately, there were many members of the City Protection Bureau waiting in ambush outside. Anyone that ran out would be caught, and every single one of them would be sent to jail. Wang Ting's eyes lit up upon noticing the attribute bubbles floating in the ruins of the abandoned warehouse. He activated his spiritual power. Pull. He picked them up. Speed *8 Strength *5 Water Force *2 Earth Force *3 Metal Force *1 In an instant, a tremendous amount of strength, speed, and force attributes went into his pocket. These were all commonly seen attributes, though. The force attributes were all from the basic 5 elements too. No mutated force elements appeared. It looked like there really were few mutated element attributes. Most of the time, a normal martial warrior would have one of the 5 main elements as his force. In the past, he was able to pick up the mutated forces like Wind Force, Ice Force, and Poison Force because he was extremely lucky. I didn't expect there to be so many martial warriors among the evil clansmen. Wang Ting sighed. His expression was a little stern. He could tell how powerful this evil clan was. Members of this clan were spread all over the nation like locusts. They were everywhere. Catching so many of them this time was helping the country to get rid of evil too. Someone actually came right into my territory. Wang Ting looked at the evil clansman below him. He held the gold brick in his hand. Swoosh! A brick flew out. The evil clansman rolled his eyes and felt a pain in his head. Before he knew what happened, he fainted. Enlightenment *2 Spirit *2 Wang Ting's eyes lit up. He was elated. Ha ha ha, it's so smart of me to make this brick. He picked them up. Then, he continued to control the brick and hit it again and again on the evil clansman's head. Spirit *1 Enlightenment *1 Spirit *1 He hit the evil clansman until no more enlightenment and spirit attributes dropped. By then, the evil clansman had turned into a pig head. After some time, 2 members of the City Protection Bureau passed through this location coincidentally and noticed the unconscious pig head evil clansman on the ground. Why is there an evil clansman lying here? They looked at him carefully and got a huge shock. Oh my God, who's so vicious? He turned this poor bastard into a pig head. It must be one of our colleagues. Had he been hiding his violent nature? We mustn't offend him. The 2 of them decided that they must keep a low profile in their department in the future. They mustn't provoke some people in case they got beaten into pig heads. The 2 of them wanted to go to the front line to reinforce their colleagues, but first, they had to deal with this evil clansman. Thus, they dragged the evil clansman away. Wang Ting smiled secretly. He realized that the people from the City Protection Bureau had wild imaginations. They liked to think too much and come up with all kinds of strange characters and personalities. Another one. Let me hit him. He noticed another lonely evil clansman moving in his direction. Wang Ting threw his brick at him without any hesitation. Bang! The evil clansman fainted. Bang, bang, bang. While no one was looking, Wang Ting smashed his brick on the clansman's head, giving birth to another pig head. He welcomed another wave of enlightenment attributes. When the 2 members of the City Protection Bureau finished dealing with the first pig head evil clansman and came back, they saw the second pig head clansman lying on the ground. They couldn't help but exchange glances with each other. Then, they scanned their surroundings in unplanned unison. Sigh, he should have left, right? Shall we drag him back first? The 2 of them dragged the second pig head evil clansman out. When they came back, they saw a third pig head evil clansman unconscious on the floor. I think that mister must be hiding nearby. Let's just help him to drag the corpse away. You make sense. The two members from the City Protection Bureau felt cold sweat pouring down their foreheads. They even changed the way they called the person and addressed him as Mr. Now. They were afraid that if he heard any words of disrespect from their mouths, he would beat them into pig heads, too, in a fit of anger. The fourth Klansman, the fifth Klansman, the two members of the City Protection Bureau were extremely busy. After they dragged the ninth pig-head evil Klansman out, they wiped the sweat off their forehead and heaved a long sigh. They were really tired. We are just emotionless corpse-dragging machines. The two of them looked at each other and gave a stiff smile with an unspoken mutual understanding. Wang Ting was having a hard time trying to hold back his laughter. He looked at the two members of the City Protection Bureau. Am I being too harsh on them? As time passed, all the evil Klansmen either got killed or got caught. None of them were spared. The two corpse-dragging machines dragged 12 pig-head evil Klansmen in total. They worked extremely hard. While gazing at the 12 pig-head evil Klansmen piled in front of them like a small mountain, they felt a huge stimulation. Crazy about making pig heads. The two of them shuddered simultaneously. This was the first thought that appeared in their minds when they changed from corpse-dragging machines back to humans. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.